Good afternoon, very warm welcome to Páirc Uí Chaoimh for the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship semi-final. Our second semi-final of the afternoon will feature Sars and Glen Rovers. Well, what a day we have for it, and what a game the first game was, and who's going to be into the final of this lot? Well, remember, back in 2016 these two met in a second round encounter. It was a real thriller, and of course in the 2015 final Sars defeated Glen Rovers in what was a cracking game here in the old Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Well, renewed rivalry here this afternoon. Throw-in is not far away at 3:15, and we will be catching up with both Mark Landers and Shawnee McGrath, who will be running through their eye over the sides this afternoon. But firstly, let's hear from both camps. Shortly we'll be hearing from Sarsfields coach Peter Queally. But firstly, let's head to the Glen and hear from their selector, Dermot O'Callaghan. So Dermot, thanks for joining me. I suppose, look, we have to go down to the big story of the week, I suppose, getting Patrick Horgan off that red card. It must be such a relief to the team as a whole.
Yeah, it was huge relief to us. Being honest, I spoke to Patrick briefly at half time and had a good chat with him after the match. And I know Patrick since he's 6 or 7 years of age. He's the same as my brother. And he told me he did nothing. I asked him. Patrick's very honest. He said that there was nothing in the incident at all. He didn't know why he was being sent off. So from that point of view, we felt if we could get any kind of footage at all, we'd have a good chance of getting him off. You know, in the end, it turned out we did get the footage, and we did end the board give us a very fair hearing. You know, but look, he did nothing. He just didn't deserve to be sent off. So we were thrilled to have him back. We were training tonight. He's in great form. All the lads are in great form. He got a great boost from it. He was very down after the match, as you'd expect. You know, he put so much into it. It's his life. And for him to be sent off undeservedly and for him to have missed this game would have been a terrible blow. But we're delighted he's back. He's delighted to be back, and we'll drive on.
And I suppose, the one thing to take out of the game, you know, you lose your talisman, someone like a Henry Shefflin or a Joe Canning, or, you know, for you, Patrick Horgan is your talisman. He's one of the best players in the county. But the character that the team showed to come back and dig out a victory the way they did, it was a massive, monumental effort by the 14 players in the field.
Yeah, it was huge, brilliant. Like, you know, they showed great heart, great spirit, great skill. And like all those guys are buddies with Patrick, you know, like they're all up the field every night. There's a group of 8 or 9 or 10 of them pucking around every day of the week. And yeah, Patrick was a massive blow, but it kind of galvanised us as well. You know, we were speaking at half time, and we felt Patrick was hard done by, and we were saying, can we get to a semi-final and give him another day out? You know, try and win it. Not win it for Patrick, guys will win it for themselves. Everyone has their own reasons to try and win the game, but could we get to a semi-final? Give Patrick, try and get him off, give him another day out, and see how we get on. So as it worked out, we did, and here we are.
So turning our attentions now to the semi-final on Sunday, you know, Sars probably one of the teams that were hotly tipped at the start of the year, along with yourselves and Blackrock. But now you're facing Sars. I suppose Sars, you know, ran through their group, really, demolished Middleton in their third round game. It's going to be a tough encounter today. But no doubt, and we spoke about this at the quarter final, the spirit of the Glen is going to shine once again.
Yeah, look, we'd hope so. Look, Sars are very strong. You know, they've won their 3 games convincingly, racked up huge scores, didn't concede much. But we're the Glen, and we look after ourselves. We train hard the last 2 weeks. We play the way that traditionally the Glen will play, with heart, spirit, skill, pace, try and play the game at tempo. And if that's not good enough, we bring all that to the game Sunday. And if that's not good enough, we'll shake Sars' hand. Best of luck to them in the final. We'll come back again next year. If it is good enough, we'll be in the final ourselves, you know. So we're concentrating on ourselves completely. We need to get a performance out of our lads. It doesn't matter what Sars bring. We need to get a performance ourselves, you know. So we'll see what Sars do on the day. We were trying to get our 15 lads to give everything they have for the Glen. They love playing for the Glen. They showed the heart and the spirit that they had the last day. We want more to say the next day, and we'll see where that takes us.
And look, I think it goes without saying, like, if both teams turn up, it could turn into an absolute cracking game. But undoubtedly, the tempo and the the presence of having Patrick back in the squad since that hearing last Monday night, undoubtedly it has had a huge upbeat and an uplift on the panel as a whole and as a club, I suppose.
Oh, it does, definitely. And like the panel is the panel. Look, we'd be getting ourselves right and driving on regardless. But as you say, the club, there's a great buzz around the club with Patrick back. I was speaking to elderly members of the club during the week, and they're thrilled to have him back. And for neutrals, look, it's great. Fellas going on the park maybe wouldn't be involved in either club, and they're going on to watch the likes of Patrick. So it's great to have him there. For us, he's our marquee player. He's our free taker. He's a leader. Without, he doesn't speak that much. He leads on the field. His hurling does the talking. So we're thrilled to have him back. And the rest of the lads are in great form. And look, we'll give it everything we have on Sunday. And we'll see where that takes us, We've a good chance. Ours are strong, but we're there, and we'll give it one lash anyway.
So, Peter, thanks very much for joining us. I suppose, it's been 4 weeks in a waiting now. So, how have you had the lads kept ticking over the last 4 weeks, waiting this semi-final?
Sure, a lot of the usual stuff, Patrick, training sessions and a couple of challenges and stuff. Been quite lucky, in fairness, with the weather. This time of the year it can be hit and miss, but bar that deluge we had on that Wednesday, I think everything else went very well for us weather-wise with training. That training itself went well. I suppose we avoided injuries too, which is a good thing. But I suppose the downside of that is you're idle there for 4 weeks, and you're watching a lot of this competitive action going on, and you're at the back of your mind, you're wondering, are we missing out on something here from a competitive edge point of view? So we just have to wait and see how that goes.
Just to go back to the third round game, I suppose we broadcast from Park in that day, 321 to 214. An extraordinary game, but you really opened it up in the second half and showed the true class Sars hurling that they can produce.
Yeah, look, I think bar the first quarter where we were sluggish, and Middleton had racked up a few wides in that where they probably should have been 4 or 5 ahead. I think after that we kind of woke up a bit and started to hurl the way they can hurl, So I suppose we're mindful of that too, that we need to get off to a good start now, that we can't afford that kind of a sluggish start again. And I suppose once we got on top then, and the fact that it wasn't a do or die game as well, I suppose Middleton probably had one eye on the quarter final, and in the end we won with a bit to spare, right? So we know this is going to be a different task. This is winner takes all now, so it's a different ball game.
What are you going to take away from the quarterfinal? I know you were in attendance watching that Mulcahy Glen Rovers game, and obviously, I suppose the big story of this week has been the red card being rescinded by the appeals committee for Patrick Horgan, so he's back in the Glen side. But what would you take away from that game in the quarterfinal a fortnight ago?
Sure. Look, I suppose it's the thing that it's the same narrative with Glen Rovers. The spirit of the Glen, there were. Who would have given them, who could have foreseen what would happen after Patrick Horgan got sent off? If they were told beforehand it was going to be 15 aside and you'd have to play without Patrick Horgan, probably people wouldn't have given them a chance, and to go along then when Patrick was sent off and to still hang in there, and keep plugging away, and the spirit that they showed, that, it's just pure never say die stuff, and it's something that they've always prided themselves on, and it came to the fore in that quarter final in spades, So, that's the one takeaway from it. And look, I did see all the other 2 quarterfinals as well, and I did feel that out of the 6 teams I saw, the Glen were the best team over the weekend,
So looking forward now to a game like this, looking to try and get back into a semi-final, back into a good while, back into a final for a good while, a good number of years. In fact, since the mid-noughties, it's going to be a bit of a local derby and a semi-final in itself that could take a life of its own, as the fellow says. Yeah,
look, there's a healthy rivalry there between the teams. I can remember my First game with the Sars in championship was against Glen Rovers back in 1998, and that might be a long time ago, but I can still remember a fierce rivalry even back then, and I've no doubt this game is going to be no different. I don't think the peace pipe or anything has been passed around in the last number of years or anything. That's not to say there's a bad rivalry there, but it's just there's a good, healthy rivalry, and I expect a fierce battle here in this match.
And from your own point of view, I suppose, look, it's obviously a big time. Yourself and Barry Myers, first time in together this year. Have you full, clean bill of health going into the game this afternoon?
One or two injuries, kind of long term there with Paul Leopold and Liam Healy. They've had an unfortunate year with injuries and stuff, and so unfortunately they haven't made it for the semi-final either. I suppose from our point of view, we've had to line out without them for previous games. So apart from them, yeah, we've had a clean bill of health.
All in all, you're looking forward to the game this afternoon?
Yeah, really looking forward to it now. Hoping for a good game of hurling, and you won't get a better venue to play this match in.
And a warm welcome back to Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and my thanks to Peter Queally and to Dermot O'Callaghan, who we caught up with during the week. And the two Musketeers stay on. I bring you in the game this afternoon. Patrick O'Callaghan, my name, Mark Landers and Shane McGrath beside me. And after a quick turnaround, quick cup of tea, bite of chocolate, our second semi-final is upon us. And it's Glen Rovers versus Sarsfields. And Mark, what an enthralling first semi-final we're after. We'll touch on it maybe a little bit later on. But please, let's have something like that for the second half for this afternoon.
Fantastic, to be honest with it. I think a lot of the teams in advance, or a lot of the punters in advance, would have expected Blackrock to get through, because Midland, I suppose, so far this year haven't fired like they fired today, but they were absolutely magnificent today. From the get-go, they led 1-3 to 1 point after about 4 minutes, and they set out their stall. Blackrock had come back into the game and made a game of it in the first quarter, 1-7 each. But from there on, really, Midland dominated the game. There was one brief incident in the second half where Niall Cashman got a fantastic goal for the Rockies to bring it back to 3. Midland went straight down the field and got a great goal from Per White, and they got another goal straight afterwards from Ross O'Regan that finished the game as a contest. But, we've seen one underdog win today. Could we have a second one in the other semi-final, Patrick? Who's to know? But it'll be enthralling one way or the other.
I just spoke with Terence McCarthy downstairs, Shawnee. That third quarter performance, the 3 goals, that had a real bearing on the game at such an early stage in the second half.
Unbelievable. Like we were saying, that it was 2-16 to 2-13. They outscored them 2-6 to 1-6 coming down the stretch, which is unbelievable scoring. Getting goals at the right time, being clinical when it counts, and giving great delivery in from the outside men. And again, I'd say today will be very much the same. What the Glen will do maybe is keep Patrick inside, try and feed him in as quickly as possible, and maybe take on that SARS defence. I think, SARS similarly inside, their full forward line is very, very dangerous. I don't think Jack O'Connor has completely caught fire yet in this year's championship, so they'll be expecting him to really open up and trouble that Glen Rovers full back line. So similarly to the last game, they'll be looking to pepper quick ball into the full forward lines, take them on and try and get some early scores. But if it's anything like the last game, we had 4-22 to 3-19, which was 26 scores and 22 scores from Middleton, which was 48 scores. I don't need it to be a club game up and down the country today will have got as many scores as that.
No, sure not indeed. Let's have a look at the teams as we've seen the toss in front of us. The Glen lost the toss. SARS have elected playing down to the city end in this opening half. So now let's have a look at the teams for this afternoon's second semi-final. We'll start with the Glen, the 27-time champions, last winning in 2016. And the big news of the week, as we've all know at this stage from the Glen point of view, Patrick Horgan has got off with the red card and he is starting the game this afternoon. Brian Moylan, Robert Downey and Owen Downey had a major bearing in the quarter-final win over Mulcahy a fortnight ago. Patrick Horgan scoring 433 in this championship already, while Simon Kennevick, albeit he had a quiet championship, he had a blistering quarter-final, scoring the last two brilliant scores to have that victory over Mulcahy, Shawnee.
Oh yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. I think Simon is a great player. He's got an opportunity to play with Cork over the year, so hopefully he takes a good championship on board and pushes on next year. I think for the Glen, I'm not so sure about Mark Dooley. I don't know if Mark will looks like he'll start, but I think during the week there was a fair concern about his hand injury, so they'll be hoping that he lasts anyway and gets to the first quarter. I think the launch pad for the Glen will come from their half back line. They were absolutely brilliant the last day, the two Downeys and Brian Moylan, and obviously from the SAR side, James Sweeney, Early, Lukaku was dangerous, so the Glen half back line, they'll be hoping much the same again today.
From a SARS point of view, well, they've got a bye and they haven't played in 4 weeks, but as we heard from Peter Queally a while ago, there's been a couple of changes, as there's a late change here from the Glen Rovers. Mark Dooley is out, so 19, Calvin Healy is in. We'll come back to the SARS team for a moment though. Big day in the middle of the field for Cian Darcy and Daniel Carney. James Sweeney scored 2-7 in the championship so far, and Daniel Hogan's got 4 goals to his name, including a hat-trick against Carrytool in round 2, but they really need a big day out of Jack O'Connor this afternoon.
Oh, absolutely. And Shawnee had mentioned earlier on, Patrick, that he hadn't shot the lights out so far this season, but I wouldn't have any concern about that because that man is capable of anything. I suppose they look to the very experienced players of Conor O'Sullivan, Craig Leahy and William Carney at the back, but I was really impressed with the likes of Kevin Crowley and Killian Roach, and particularly Cian Darcy in the middle of the field against Middleton in their last group game. So I think for SARS, Patrick, they have an awful lot of experience all over the field, but they have a huge blend of youth coming into the team as well, particularly the likes of Daniel Hogan and Killian Murphy at centre forward and corner forward. So I suppose they have the form team so far this year. They've been unbeaten in the championship, and as you quite rightly said, it's been a month since they had last played, so some people will point to the fact that they didn't have, or that the teams get into, the highest ranked team gets into the semi-final automatically, and a lot of people will be wondering whether that will have an effect on their performance or not.
The second semi-final of the Premier Senior Hurling Championship coming up right after Aran Naveen. Diarmuid Corwin is our official this afternoon. SARS, the Glen losing the toss, I should say. Daniel Carney electing to go from right to left into the city end of this opening half. Mark, you're the neutral vote here. Which way is this going?
Yeah, for me, Patrick, it's a very, very close game. It wouldn't surprise me if this game would finish level. The Glen had a huge pick up in the fact that Patrick Horgan is starting. So for me, I think SARS are the favourites going into the game, and I think they might see it out today.
So the opening possession of the game coming the way of Robert Downey of the Glen. Long ball on inside. Remember that late change late in the day here from the Glen. Calvin Healy starting corner forward wearing 19 instead of Mark Dooley. There's a foul there on Cian Darcy going through, and it's the opening free of the game going to the way of the Glenmore Base Club.
Yeah, I think the Glen, from their perspective, will try and keep it nice and tight, stay in the game for as long as they can, get to half-time with very little in it, and it was obvious there that the defending type model that they have, say, they wouldn't let the man break the tackle and get in on sight on goal, so an early free for SARS, but I think the Glen at the same time, that's sort of the plight they're going to have. They're not going to make it easy for SARS at any stage.
So an early opportunity, an early sighter here for Aaron Myers this afternoon, who has scored 133 through championship. 23 of those points coming the way of place ball and getting that goal from a penalty spot in the round robin stages. Myers for the first time this afternoon sending this one in, and Myers sticking this one all the way in and over the bar. The opening score going to the way of the man wearing 15 for Sarsfields.
Yeah, and a good start for Sars and a great start for Cian Darcy. In the middle of the field, had taken on possession and got fouled, and a good conversion for Myers.
So chance here now for Calvin Healy to get proceedings underway from a Glen point of view. Puck out for the first time into the Sars half of the field. Long ball batted down by Kevin Crowley, walking the ball over towards the half forward line. A chance for the Glen, but the ball squirted outside. It's a chance for Danny Carney to pounce on it, pops the ball outside in towards Killian Murphy. He's got a point in this championship. He sees a man, the speedster, outside him, Jack O'Connor, showing a clean pair of heels, and that's 2 quick points from the Glenmoyers point of view.
Yeah, and I think Danny Carney won the first free and he was integral to that score as well. He's playing centre forward. He played in the wing in the earlier round against Middleton, but very, very busy, off the shoulder stuff, and a great finish for Jack. That'll do his confidence no harm.
Also notice with Sean, you'd have to say that Jack O'Connor is starting a wing forward today. He's been deployed in the full forward line so far in the championship, and maybe the management made a decision to give him a bit of breathing space.
Get him into the game.
You could just see the right a shot there. Daniel Carney going in centre forward, being marked here by Robert Downey. There's a shot going here from a Glen point of view. He's going to the edge of the square. There's Simon Kennefics at the edge of the square, free inside, but just squirted through in towards Alan Kennedy, and it's going to be an opportunity for the Glen to try, or Sars to clear their lines through Cian Darcy. Man who's got real quick speed, part of the under 21 winning championship team a couple of years ago. He's breaking through 2 or 3 tackles. Heavy hit from Owen Downey, no advantage. Referee though saying he dropped the Hurley in the process of passing the ball, and that is going to be a free out for the Glen.
Yeah, slightly unlucky. He was carrying the Hurley in his right hand, I suppose, and it looked like he did drop it and flicked on the sliotar, but you know, big pick up there from Diarmuid Cowan. Good spot by the referee.
So it's an early opportunity here for Patrick Horgan, and I suppose this has been really the talking point. We don't need to elaborate on it too much, but the Glen getting them off last Monday night, it's a huge benefactor here from a Glen point of view.
Unbelievable. They showed incredible spirit the last day, Patrick, to get the win. I mean, it definitely looked unlikely after 25 minutes, but it was it's
going a long way inside towards the edge of the square. There's a man standing inside the 6-yard box though, as that ball trickles across the face the goal going out. Simon Kennefic was standing inside the square.
Yeah, and I think, look, from a neutral perspective, I mentioned earlier about fellas coming to games to see big players, marquee players, and Patrick is certainly one of those, one of the best players in the country. So for the general neutral and punter coming down, I think everyone, well, maybe not Sars, but generally most people were happy to see him available.
Sars point of view, free goes short. Conor Sullivan picks out Daniel Carney, long range shot from the 45, switch the play to this near side, but the Glen defence might come out on top of it. That's a good flick away there by young Daniel Hogan to keep it in from going out of play. Another flick away by Hogan, but this time Brian Moylan gets onto possession and pops it back outside to Adam Lynch, half blocked down there on that occasion. Hogan kept it in from going out. A chance for James Sweeney, sees a man in space. That's Jack O'Connor. He's not going to miss him there. That's precision shooting from the Riverstown club.
Yeah, fantastic score, fantastic funneling of the ball back by young Daniel Hogan as well inside, and no better man than Jack O'Connor to be at the edge of the opportunity.
3 points to no score. Early stages of this county semi-final. We'll go short from the puck out on this occasion. Here is Cathal Hickey, the captain of the Glen side, getting the 1-2 back. But it comes there from Dean Brosnan. That left Conor Sullivan have a free shot, but the Glen are in here with an actual shot chance here of a shot. Adam O'Donovan in possession. Pops the ball outside, out towards Brosnan, and Brosnan getting himself on the score sheet this afternoon.
Good score, and the Glen capitalised well. Conor should have got the ball to hand to Danny Carney. Danny was looking for it, but an excellent finish from Brozzy. And look, he's a key player. He got 2 very good points the last day, so it's good to see players outside of Patrick contributing to the scoreboard. Excellent score, and the Glen badly needed it.
Puck out from Alan Kennedy. First time this afternoon we see the Sars keeper in action. Ball down in front of us. Sweeney's in the bottom of that ruck, flicked away though by Killian Murphy. Great touch there by Robert Downey, but Daniel Carney is electrifying inside, pops the ball inside to Killian Murphy. He's gone inside the 13 metre line. Murphy going across the face of goal. Calvin Healy just stops it. It just trickles out. Healy thought he stopped it for the decision's been overturned with the help of the umpire Hickey. The umpire on the far side making a decision. Hickey just stopped it from outside the post rather than knocking it out over the line.
Yeah, very, very good spot by the umpire there. Tricky enough.
It's obvious early doors as well. Danny Kearney is very busy. He's not staying in his position. He's gone from half forward to centre forward, so Glen need to keep an eye on him.
Long ball from David Dooley over towards that far side, but it's gone out over the line, that far side of the field. Colm Mulcahy is the sideline official on that far side.
And I suppose part of one thing is Craig Leahy has been selected on the programme as centre back, but he's actually playing full back, and Owen Murphy's gone out to wing back, and Killian Roach has gone centre back for the South team.
I must say, I popped downstairs, as I mentioned moments ago. Fine crowd coming in for the second game. Estimations of around 5,000 here this afternoon for this double header as that line ball goes short. And look who's back there, is Jack O'Connor being harried and hassled by the Glen defenders. O'Connor under pressure, just pops the ball over the top. Great flick away by the Sarsfields forwards, being missed there by the Glen defence. A goal opportunity here. What a save by Cathal Hickey from the shot of Luke Hackett. Not the first time we've seen that from the Glen keeper.
No, he's been outstanding for years. I mean, the Glen won 2 counties in 15 and 16, and obviously fellas like Patrick Dean Bradston got an awful lot of the limelight. But Cathal Hickey, you know, has been a fabulous player for the Glen over the last decade, and that again, when they badly needed, you know, the sharp or the snapshot to be saved, he was there. I don't know, did Luke really catch it that well, but at the same time, Cathal had to make the save. It was a brilliant save, and it keeps us in the game.
Short sideline ball from Daniel Kearney. Adam O'Donovan's back there, and it was a push to back. He ended up colliding with his own player, but it was a push to back first, and it's a free out awarded by Corwin.
Which is a great opportunity, Shawnee, for a goal for Sales. They will be really kicking themselves that Luke Hackett didn't take it on and make sure of it and stick the ball in the back of the net.
So an early opportunity here for Calvin Hickey to try and clear the lines once again. Pull off, or Cathal Hickey I should say, pull off a super save moments ago. Chance now to go down the far side. Ones are wondering where Patrick Horgan is in the opening minutes of this game as Owen Murphy now gets in possession. The former Cork player pops it back to Conor O'Sullivan, and lines cleared on this occasion by Craig Leahy. Long ball, Robert Downey climbing highest and catches it. What a catch by the Cork defender. Pops it out to their brother Owen, the under 20 star. Switch the play back down to the far corner. Flick on from Simon Kennefick, putting Craig Leahy under pressure over on that far side of the field, and Kennefick is at the bottom of the ruck, but good work defensively there from Conor O'Sullivan. Flicked out by a Glen player out for a wide ball.
Yeah, I was surprised at Sars there in the last play, because that's exactly what the Glen want. They want long balls coming down in on top of Rob Downey, Owen Downey and Brian Moylan. Owen or Rob the last day, especially in that second half period when they were under the cosh, was absolutely brilliant. And again, they took a brilliant ball under a bit of pressure from behind, but caught it exceptionally and cleared his lines brilliant.
Puck out taken over towards that far side. Here is Adam O'Donovan back towards Robert Downey. Has time to look and find, and they're going for the straightforward ball long inside. You can see what they're trying to do. Horgan's on the loop around Kennefick to try and get on the breaking ball.
Yeah, and the ball broke that time to Kennedy and handled it very well. Patrick Horgan has gone in, named the centre forward, but is picking up. He's gone into the corner forward position and has been picked up by Daniel Kearney. William Kearney.
Sweeney pocketed there, but the Glen man, and that's a score from Cian Darcy, and that was just a bit of a lazy clearance there from the Glen point of view, Shawnee.
Yeah, Adam should have been a small bit sharper. He's a good player, really good busy player, but he should have been sharper. Mark mentioned it before the game, Cian Darcy has looked busy, took it on well there and finished expertly off his right.
Here's Cathal Hickey now with the puck out, goes short on this occasion. Stevie McDonald now clearing, going long, looking for Hoggy inside the edge of the D. Good flick away there by William Kennedy. Will Kennedy, who has been a real stalwart in this SARS team.
Yeah, he's a twin brother of Daniel Kearney. They have been fantastic. They've been fantastic servants to the SARS team, along with Craig Leahy and Conor O'Sullivan. They're probably the longest serving members on the team. And I'd have to say they're around the block a long time, Patrick, that full back line. I can remember them winning their first county when they were only kids, or I think they were only 19 years of age. And there's been a credit to them to stay in the shape and the form they're in, and their enthusiasm for the game.
Quick puck out taken down towards Daniel Kearney, but Kearney shrugged his hands over his head. Gone on for a wide ball once again.
Yeah, and just on the head-to-heads, Mark was mentioning there some of the positional switches, so we can see William Kearney is on Patrick and Craig Leahy has picked up Simon Kennefick, so that's always indicative of management being good on the line, picking the key players up with the key defenders. So Simon is being picked up by Craig and William Kearney on Patrick Horgan.
Here's Robert Downey from the 45 from the shot puck out from Hickey. Long ball, switch play, far side. It goes, and here's the break now, and this is what again needed. Hoggy's going through. 1, 2, 3 step shot. Great save inside there by Alan Kennedy. 2 super saves, one either end by each keeper.
Yeah, fantastic score, or a save from Kennedy. I thought that Patrick had probably overcarried it slightly, but the opportunity came for him. He spotted the left-hand corner available to him, and Kennedy was equal to the challenge on this occasion.
So another opportunity here for Patrick Horgan just to reduce the margin down to 2 points. And the Sars had an early opportunity. Good shot there from Patrick Horgan. Saved on this occasion by Alan Kennedy, and that gives an opportunity now for Horgan to try and reduce the margin down to 2 points. First time Hoggy with a shot from a place ball, and he absolutely buries it over the bar. 433 to the name of Patrick Horgan. 26 goals and 611 points, that is, in Cork Senior Championship.
There's some going, isn't it? In fairness, he's been a fantastic player. Oh, what a hit! What a hit! Kevin Crowley on Brian Moylan, going in short into Hickey, and some concerns from Moylan here. He's going to have to be checked out. Play continues on over towards the far side. Owen Downey, as the referee stops play, and rightly so. A collision of all sorts, a mother and a father of a hit by Kevin Crowley on Brian Moylan.
Yeah, two big men. Brian has been a stalwart now for the Glen for a long time, and he's as tough as nails, but he definitely felt that one, and the ref was very wise to call it. I don't think at any stage anyone is calling it dirty play or that, and it was just a good collision. Just going back a little bit there, I suppose, the Glen will be happy enough that it's only 4-2 after 11 minutes, say. Well, it's 12 now, but after 11 minutes of play, Patrick's shot for goal was his first sort of involvement in the game. So for him to be so periphery and the Glen only to be 2 down at 4-2, I think they'll be happy enough with the contest so far. Hopefully now there won't be too much, bit of concern with Brian, but hopefully there's not too much damage done. He's tough with his stuff. I think he'll be alright.
Yeah, but good play, Shawnee, by Diarmuid Kerwin. Had recognised that Moylan was down, stopped the play,
Definitely.
didn't give any team an advantage, and I think that's very good refereeing by Diarmuid Kerwin.
Yep.
Great to see Brian Moylan back on his feet as his eyes turning attention and concentrate now on Cathal Hickey and where's the runner's going to be, because this is an indirect free, remember. Hickey with a long ball looking for Horgan in the corner. He's being held inside there by Kennedy. And it's a chance now for Darcy to clear the lines down towards this near touchline. You can see now how Brian Moylan reacts, and he looks to be running away okay. Pass the ball outside to Robert Downey. Great block inside there by Luke Hackett. Downey being harried and hassled, but the Glen do very well working it out of a triangle. Good sharp precision play. Moylan picking out the man in the centre of the field. That's Liam Collin. Collin looking to get his score sheet up and running, but trickles left and wide.
They did well in the corner in fairness after being initially blocked down. Brian showed that he's no effects from that knock earlier, but Liam will be disappointed. Open space, he should have probably clung it.
Ball cleared out here by Kennedy, by Carney I should say. Walked out towards his near side. Here's Jack O'Connor now looking to try and burn the man for pace. He's medium well though, in fairness, is David Dooling, but O'Connor's burnt him now inside. Shot and goal! Oh, it's gone over the top of the crossbar. How close was that?
Yeah, but it was a fantastic run from Jack O'Connor. Picked up the ball between the 45 and the 21. Had been hounded by Robert Downey, but he kept going. He was actually after taking his 2 passes into his hand, and he has done brilliantly. He probably was going for the top corner for a goal, but has scraped over the bar for 3 points in Jack O'Connor. He's had a fantastic opening 15 minutes.
Jack O'Connor getting his helmet back on, takes his position back on the field once again. Another puck out from Cathal Hickey as Sars extend the lead out to 3 points. Hickey dumbing it over towards far side of the field. Brosnan just getting the flick away of the possession, flicks the ball over the top, and Brosnan was taken over. That's very, very clever from Dean Brosnan.
Yeah, he actually played for that, didn't he? I mean, and again, he's gotten a score already. He's won a free, and he's sort of been probably the best of the Glen attackers so far. Obviously Patrick is the main man, but Brazzy's looked very, very busy, and I thought the last day as well when the Glen needed scores, Simon obviously delivered, but Dean got 2 excellent points. He's been a super servant for both the hurling and the football part of Glen Rovers and St. Nick's. Again last week against St. Vincent's he got a goal in the point when he came on at half time. He's been a brilliant servant for a fella now pushing on in years, and very, very cute there. Won a great free.
A free from Hoggy, stitches over the bars as he always does, Mark.
Oh yeah, Patrick is a fantastic free taker and a fantastic player overall, not just a free taker. His quality of his skills and his attitude is fantastic. He's a player to look up to and admire.
Hoggy's second point. 1 from free, 1 from 65 as the possession's in front of us. And the Glen, you can see in line him fighting there with among his players to try and get on the act here. They try and clear the lines, and they do, from Brosnan down towards the full forward lines. Flick on from Simon Kennefic. Well, the advantage was coming there, no advantage accruing, and Daniel Carney is being spoken to here by our official. A lazy leg across, he says, you watch yourself, pal, or you're going into the book.
That's the second spot now from Dermot Corwin. It's very, very well spotted, in fairness. He actually had good dialogue as well. He explained to the player exactly what happened. I don't think then he had any qualms. It looked like he signalled that it was some sort of a kick or something, but in fairness, a good spot.
And remarkable that it was Dean Brosnan that was actually back there, Shawnee, in his own half back line, having won the free on the north stand. He's now after winning the ball and clearing it here on the south stand.
Yeah, great work rate, in fairness.
Brian Moylan's been clever there, flicking the ball forward behind Jim McAvoy's back, but McAvoy, the Blarney secretary and referee, he's a bit cute for that at this ripe old age. Great referee as well, in fairness, a great man.
Jimmy's been around, he's seen them all, in fairness to him, and he's been excellent on the line all year long. And I think he's also explaining to the Glen mentors on the sideline exactly what happened there.
Horgan from his own 65, long range, going in towards the edge of the square, but again Simon Kennefick inside the square once again, as the referee says, I'm going for a bottle of water, lads. 16 and 3/4 minutes gone. Not as exciting as the first game. We had 2 goals at this stage, but still, this is a real physical encounter here in this second semi-final.
Yeah, it seems to be way more tense. The last game was 1-7 to 1-7 at this stage. This is only 5-3. Obviously, the scoring isn't as ferocious or as regular, but there's fierce tension in there. I think the Glen kind of, do you know what, Patrick? I think it suits them. They want the dogfight. They know how explosive and electric Sars can be when the game opens up and they get these fellas on the overlap and they give good crossfield balls. So to create a dogfight and keep it tight is exactly the way the Glen wanted. I think it's going exactly to their plan.
Yeah, and I agree with everything that Shawnee is saying there. In fairness to Jack O'Connor, he's the real shining light on the Sars team at the moment. Other than that, it's really up and down. There's no, either team aren't dominating proceedings. You couldn't say that there's any hard luck stories. There probably has been 2 shots on goals. Possibly the Patrick Horgan one was a better shot, definitely, but both of them were equally good saves. So nothing between the teams, Patrick. 5 points to 3. It's anybody's team, but it is quite noticeable from the first game to the second one. It's got fierce cold here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and whatever slight bit of a breeze is there, it's probably favouring Glen Rovers, I would say, in the first half.
Graham Callan's being called in here by our official. I'm just wondering what the issue is, and Dermot O'Callaghan going there to check it. Say Jim McAvoy is just giving the instruction, lads, that you must be sitting down on the seats or outside of the wall. That is it, end of. Or else it's an issue with the Mayor commands over on the far side of the field. One way or the other, it's going to be a free from Alan Kennedy from that square ball. As we start the second half of the second semi-final, the second quarter, I should say, picked out of the sky. Inside there by Luke Horgan. Long ball inside towards namesake Patrick Horgan. Turns him on a sixpence. Kennedy's burnt. And Horgan with the shot. A typical Patrick Horgan score. Brilliant stuff from the Cork star.
Definitely. And similar to the last game, in fairness, the midfielders the last game, Paul Hockney, Sam Cork on the Middleton side, and Sullivan and Meany and Stephen Murphy on the Blackrock side, they were continually giving good ball into their full forward line. That was a great ball inside from Dave Noonan. A good spot and a typical Patrick Horgan score.
And Jack O'Connor has been not buried over the line, but he's just failed to keep the ball going out of play.
And Patrick's also noticeable that a good crowd has stayed back for the second game. Most of the punters that are over in the north stand, they were there again for the first game. So, and that's something that the Cork County Board and GA in spectators, in terms of getting teams to, or getting spectators to wait for both games. So it's great to see it.
And there's a fantastic crowd beneath us in the south stand as well. Great atmosphere for this second semi-final as Downey switches the play, looking for Hoggy once again. But again, Will Carney is in behind Hoggy. And ball squirted through to O'Sullivan, out towards Will Carney. Clears his lines, looking to switch the play to the far side of the field. Running over there, Luke Hackett underneath the ball. Hackett, though, well, it's just flicked out of his hand and it's gone over for a sideline ball over on that far side of the field.
Yeah, what's noticeable from a Stars perspective is that they're aware all the time, acutely aware of the threat that Patrick poses. So Conor Sullivan was very, very fast to sweep over and give support to Willie Carney, win the break, and then subsequently give the ball back out to Carney again.
So an opportunity here for David Dooling from just outside the 13-metre line. No flag on the 13s today. As Cullen Vaughan is marshalling over there. A bit of shoveling in between Aaron Myers and Owen Downey over on that far side of the field. And there's a free because Aaron Myers encroached the 13-metre line. Oh, the 13-metre radius of where the free was being taken. And I think it's a fair call.
Yeah, it's a big call of Patrick at the same time. No, he had warned the lads to get back, but you know, just between the two of them, I mean, you could equally say both of them are guilty of encroaching the line taker.
Well, he's going setting down the laws, Hoggy. Well, he just took it away from one Glen man, but he stakes it himself. Why would you bother even questioning Patrick Horgan when he can shoot? Well, you thought he could. He just trickled left and wide, but he's
Commentator's curse.
Not too often, Patrick, you speak out of turn.
Play continues on down this far side is Robert Downey. Inside on Daniel Carney. Big man versus small man is Owen Downey under pressure. Flicks the ball away over towards that far side of the field. Remains 5 points to 4 in favour of Sars. The Glen looking to try and get themselves moving once again, to try and level this game from first time since the first minute. A ball out over the sideline though. It's a chance for Sars from the halfway line over on that far side of the field.
Yeah, you have to say, Patrick, that every time now the ball goes into Patrick Horgan, he certainly looks like a threat. From our position up here high in the stand, the Glen are now playing with a 2-man inside line. There's nobody within 60 yards of the inside line. If the Glen can get a ball in one-on-one with Patrick Horgan here now, they'll be fancying their chances for a score.
Great flick away from James Sweeney outside to Kevin Crowley. Long shot in, but Cathal Hickey is inside there, and good composure from the Glen keeper. Turns around, pops the ball outside and finds Robert Downey at leisure. Downey doesn't even look, knows where he's shooting to, but nobody was out there running for it as Will Carney. Well, he didn't even think about what he was doing, Carney, as Brosnan sees Hoggy inside in his own. Hoggy's going to go V-line for goal, turns back inside. Hoggy with a shot off the arse of one of the Sarsmen. Great block there by Craig Leahy. Brilliant stuff as Kevin Crowley breaks out the possession with a poor pass by Crowley. Finds Simon Kennefick and pounces on and levels the game here in Pocket Queen.
Yeah, brilliant. Simon needed that. Get himself into the game. He's a key player for us. Great score. Willie Carney will have been disappointed though. In advance of that, he should have cleared his lines.
Yeah, but it's a real sniper's point as well. He intercepted it and nailed it.
Poor pass back here from Kevin Crowley, and he's fouled Dean Brosnan inside for a chop or a sweet slash or whatever way you want to call it. It's a free one way or the other, and a chance now for the Glen to take the lead for the first time in this game.
And you know who started really brightly is Dean Brosnan. He had the vision the last, 30 seconds ago he could have sniped it over the bar, but he gave it to Patrick and he won a brilliant free there. He's been involved in most of their scores. He started really brightly.
So a chance now for Hoggy, seeking his 4th point of this game, and it's creepy inside that near upright, and the Glen take the lead for the first time.
Yeah, first time for the Glen, and they have started really brightly in the second quarter. They have the better of it at the moment, and when you're on top you need to make it pay.
Always a danger man, Jack O'Connor, half blocked down, so it's going to break inside in towards the full forward line. Oh, what a touch by Stevie McDonald to get away from Luke Hackett. Pops the ball outside to Owen Downey. His hurley was being held inside there by Daniel Carney. It's a free out for the Glen. And now, Sean, you mentioned about the dogfight. They are really turning this into a dogfight for Sars.
Yeah, and superb combo stuff there between Mulcahy and Owen Downey. I mean, Steve McDonald, again, you go back to players that have given great service to clubs. None more so than this fella. The ball in had been kind of half blocked from Jack O'Connor, but like in a foot race, you're not going to get faster than Mulcahy. Brilliant control, great pass out to Owen, and he won a great free.
Quick one, take short, down towards Owen Downey. Downey from the halfway line, from the 65, but just pulls it right and pulls it wide. Puck will quickly taken very, very quickly indeed. Jack O'Connor, long ball over towards that far side, flicked away there by McDonald from James Sweeney. McDonald looks to be under pressure inside there as the ball's being walked in here from Aaron Myers. Going left and wide, but some concern here for Stevie McDonald, just limping away a small bit.
Yeah, but you know, contrasting to the first game that we saw earlier on, where there was goals galore and points galore, this certainly is a different tactical game. Very, very tight, very physical, and 6 points to 5 after 20 minutes. Huge difference in the two games.
Great block down there by Jack O'Connor. Under pressure here now is David Noonan. Done well, flicked the ball up the line, and Kenneth making a V-line run. Was like a cheetah out of the box. Turned back inside, looking for the spare man inside, but that's a crucial block there by Craig Leahy. And this Simon Kennefick fouling Cillian Murphy as he went to gain possession. Free out for Sars.
Yeah, good play. Simon was off the blocks quickly. In fairness, the defender stayed calm and composed and got the block in. Simon probably should have done a small bit better. He probably should have got into the hand a bit quicker after getting a good ball down the line. So, and Sars will need this. They just need to start getting scores back on the board. They went 5-2 up. They haven't scored in a while, so they need to get a bit of a score on the board themselves.
As the free going to be taken here from Aaron Myers. And chance for the Sarsman to try and level up this game once again for the second time this afternoon from inside his own 65. Pulled it right. It's going to land short. Oh, just Daniel Hogan could have got a hurley to it. Goes right and wide.
Yeah, and you know, Sars are probably one of the teams, I think, if memory serves me right, they got 321 or 328 against Midland.
321, yeah.
Yeah, and they've only got 5 points to show for 25 minutes. They'll be really concerned with that scoreline at this moment in time.
Sars, 3 games, 228, 518, 321, 1067 in championship at an average of 32 points over the 3 games so far. Low scoring affair so far, but real physical, hard encounter in this second semi-final is the Glen. And here is the substitute who started, Calvin Healy. Walked it over towards that far side. Is that Brosnan with the shot all the way over there? Going all the way in, but going to the right-hand side and wide as the keeper takes this one quickly down towards this near sideline. Jack O'Connor, he loves these situations, 1-on-1, and he's going to burn Brian Moylan for pace. And Jack O'Connor with real slick accuracy going all the way in. And what a score in there from Jack O'Connor.
And probably the third, if not the fourth, fast puck out that Alan Kennedy has had, finding either Jack or Danny Carney here on this left wing. So that then we'll just have to watch those short puck outs because they're just coming out too easy.
That was a magnificent score that Patrick, and his fourth, Jack O'Connor's 4 points from play out of 6 so far. He's been a revelation, but that has a brilliant skill from any player.
Puck out down towards the near side of the field and picked out here once again by Jack O'Connor. He's been a real revelation since he's been coming out towards the half-hour line. He's been picked out. Great ball inside towards Aaron Myers. Myers going in, looking to try and take the lead. Great pressure there by Owen Downey. Brilliant.
Yeah, good combo of Owen Downey and Adam Lynch. Remember the last day, Patrick. Adam Lynch was excellent against Mulcahy. Did really well. Mikey Kelly came on and troubled him later on, but in general he had a great game and it was an excellent block.
So chance now for Kyle Hickey to resume play once again. We're inside the final 4 minutes of this opening half as the possession over towards that far side of the field. Chance here for Killian Roach to try and get on the play. Breaks that ball inside. Oh, pressure being applied here on the Sarsman, on Darcy. Under pressure, David Noonan's in on the act. Robert Downey got his pocket picked. Sars still with a chance. They walk it through the lines to Hackett. Just couldn't get a flick in it there was Killian Murphy, and Robert Downey's back on the action. Great flick away from Robert Downey, but that gave an opportunity for Daniel Carney to try and pick the ball. He failed to do so. There's a chance here now for Owen Downey. Under pressure, clears his lines down the far sideline. Ball never went out of play. Play continues on. Liam Collin works the ball in towards the full forward line, the 2-man line. Here's Simon Kennefick now, under pressure. Patrick Horgan looking to try and poach a ball out. Kennefick has the ball. And the referee says, no, let's stop that. I'm going to reset with a clash ball.
And going back 30 seconds, great defence play out of the lane from Killian Murphy, dispossession, and then Danny Carney also. That's exactly what they want to do. They don't want Sars running at them. They want to stifle their runs and break it up. Good defensive play.
Kevin Crowley clearing the lines from the ruck ball, but lands it straight down top of David Noonan. Looking to try and work the ball short. It's gone short all the way in towards Alan Kennedy. Kennedy now is trying to set up another play. Big run being made down towards his near sideline by Hackett, but that's a great tackle there. Great defence from the Glen man. That was Adam Lynch on that occasion. He takes the sideline quickly as Robert Downey sidesteps a man. Intensity and tempo at a high knot here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Ball walked over to the corner and Patrick Horgan saw the flight of it. Now Kennefick was loose for a second inside. Horgan just turned the wrists inside and the umpire goes for the flag. Exquisite score.
Unbelievable skill. We're not surprised with the quality of the skill of Patrick Horgan, but a great ball in from Robert Downey. One bounce into the hand over the bar. Great score by Huggy.
Short puck out to Aaron Myers. Look here how deep he is over towards the fullback Owen Murphy, working in the right half back position. Here's James Sweeney now under pressure, and the ball just squirted out over the line, and the Glen are getting on top here in this late stages, although it's been turned over here. And Daniel Carney, small speedster, a real legend of the Sars club, he's been turned over by Adam Lynch, and out to Robert Downey, and Downey thought about going right, flicked it left and sent it long down the line, looking for Liam Collin. Under pressure, Brosnan, clash of the ash in the centre of the field to Kevin Crowley, walked it short. Sweeney and Darcy Darcy working through the lines off the left peg. There's an advantage coming. The referee says that doesn't matter, it's gone over the bar.
Yeah, starting to heat up now. And in fairness to Sars, I mean, we've been complimentary to Glen all the time. They're hanging in there themselves as well. They're getting some great scores. They're running at the Glen from midfield in towards the defence and really taking them on. But yeah, it's becoming a really, really interesting fair now approaching half time.
Level game inside the final minute of this second semi-final. Who's going to face Middleton in the final in a fortnight's time? All to play for, with Cathal Hickey taking this ball. Good flick away there by the Glenmanners. There's 1 minute of additional time going to be added on. Cian Darcy, long ball up the sideline. Good touch away there by Adam Lynch as Jack O'Connor. Well, that was a high shot by Noonan on Jack O'Connor. And that's going to be a free for Sars and a chance for Myers to try and take the lead.
Yeah, and Jack O'Connor's having a big influence in this game. He took a couple of heavy hits there now, but no better boy than Jack O'Connor to be able to stand up to them. Overall, Patrick, the quality, it's really tense. And Shawnee, you used the word tense earlier on, and I think that is exactly it. The game hasn't opened up in any shape or form. It's very, very tactical, and you know, the quality, I suppose, is different to the first game where it was open, free-flowing, and a lot of scores. The scores are limited here today, but that's down to the physicality involved.
Myers, as we've entered injury time, looking to try and take the lead for Sars, and he's put it all the way over the red spot.
Good score. He had a position. He was in the same position there maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago, and he missed it. So good score, and important score before half time for Sars.
His second point of the game. As Hickey, long ball as we come to the concluding stages of this opening half. Ball worked down inside. Chance here for Sars to try and clear out. Owen Murphy under pressure, pops the ball, got a hand to it. As Jack O'Connor just flicks it on. It's going to be a Glen line ball. Barry Myers is absolutely flippant underneath us with that. His counterpart, Peter Queally, quite calm and composed about the call, happy enough with how things are faring out so far. There's Noonan now. Takes a short. Jack O'Connor was short.
Too close.
He's going to say retake that.
It's kind of unusual, Patrick, because earlier on in the game we had an incident up in the north stand where there was a line ball taken and then there was a free awarded.
Yeah.
And now is it going to be retaken?
Retaken. Was it too close or something, was it?
So Patrick Horgan.
Two different rules applied, Shawnee.
Yeah, no,
really,
I agree with you, Mark. Yeah, we need a bit of consistency.
Patrick Horgan, same angle, looking for the man running out of the centre of the park, and that was Dean Brosnan. Just got a boot with Brosnan, that was crucial. Walked it outside to Calvin Healy, but Healy couldn't gain possession. Great flick up there by Jack O'Connor, and he was just about to burst away. As that ball goes all the way in, trickles wide though, and it's half time here. Sars 8 points, Glen Rovers 7 points. Tense affair in the opening 30 minutes here, Shawnee McGrath and Mark Landers. But an interesting affair in the opening 30.
Definitely. I mean, it's a good game. It's tigerish, it's tight, it's tough. As Mark said, it's tense. Like, comparatively, there is no comparison to the last game. So it was 114, 111 in the last game. So there was a way more scores, way more free-flowing and a way more open. I mean, obviously, with Patrick inside, you know, Conor Sull, as I said earlier, was keeping an eye on him by doubling back with support to Willie Carney, and on the other side Jack O'Connor has been electric. They'll probably expect or hope for a little bit more from maybe James Sweeney. He's good and tall. I think Cillian Murphy's done okay, but Jack O'Connor definitely is the real live wire in there. But from a comparative point of view, there is no comparison. This game is just full of tension, and it looks like a game that'll go right down to the wire.
Yeah, and like if you look at it, the first 2 quarters, it was 3 points to Sars, I think 5 points to the Glen, or the other way around, and then in the second quarter there's been 4 points to 3. So, like, you know, it's a really, really tense game, I'd have to say. If you told me at half time that Sars would only have 8 points scored, I'd have been very surprised.
Yeah.
The Glen would probably, you know, the scoreline is probably 114, 115 most of the games they're playing. Okay, they've got to cut 119 in some situations, but I suppose in the overall context of things, Sars are the team that you would be expecting to have more scores on the board. But that's a great tribute down to the Glen defence, and the Glen all over the field are hooking and harrying, and they're really sucking it into Sars at the moment.
And I think that's the one thing, the one definite point to take out. The Glen, they've worked really hard defensively to close out space on the Sars, and you saw the hooking. There was one tackle over on the far side from Robert Downey, flicked the ball away from Kearney at a crucial juncture where Kearney was nearly free on goal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what SARS will do is they'll get quick puck outs or they'll work balls out. The Glen are way more direct. Obviously, with a player inside like Patrick, you can afford to be direct. But SARS will work through the lines, create overlaps, and run at you with strong solo running. And none more evidence than Cian Darcy when he got a great score. Was unlucky not to score in the first minute of play, I'd say. But the Glen are staying with them. They'll concede the free early if they have to. And then with some nice expert flicking and hooking, as you said, the likes of Owen Downey, Robert Downey, and Adam Lynch. I think Adam is doing really, really well. Adam is that sort of tigerish type cornerback. He's not as a forward, he's not a cornerback you want to be on. He hangs in there. So from that perspective, I think they'll be happy. Stephen McDonald is doing excellent on James Sweeney. So defensively, they'll be happy. I suppose in attack, they'll just expect, or they'll be looking for a little bit more from Simon. He got a great score towards the end there, but he'd expect a little bit more. Luke Horgan isn't really in the game. Hoggy obviously got his 2 scores from play. Dean Brasden has been very, very busy. Liam Collin isn't a heavy scorer. He does unseen work. He goes out the field and he creates some space. He'll have been a bit disappointed with his pot shot. Brian Moylan won a great ball here from a quick puck out, gave it to Liam, and Liam was free in midfield and he put a ball wide. So they'll be hoping to tidy up a couple of those mistakes. But in general, and I'm not trying to be terribly biased, I'm just stating the fact that Glen wanted the game to be tight, and it's tight. They're going in a half time a point down, which is exactly where they want to be. But to give credit as well to SARS, they're playing well, they're hanging in there. Danny Carney is getting a nice score, he's running hard at them. So in general, both teams are doing well, and I take Mark's point. SARS you'd expect to be on 14 or 15 at this juncture. They're only on 8, but they're still playing well. It's a good contest.
It's a very physical contest, and I think we saw that with the 2 number 5s in front of us, Kevin Crowley and Brian Moylan, with a massive collision in front of us in the south stand.
You did, Patrick, but it was a very fair collision, and you had neither set of mentors got upset or got excited about it. A lot of the lads on both sides have played the game themselves. They know exactly what's going on. You had two men coming at it, full on, collided, and both of them were winded. I suppose Brian Moylan sat down a little bit longer, got a bit more attention and stuff like that. But in general, being very well handled by Diarmaid Cowan as well in the middle of the field. Overall, you'd have to say it is more tense, and you'd be hoping that maybe it would open up, even though there has been a couple of goal opportunities. They were only just half chances and mistakes that had come, particularly the first one for SARS, where 2 Glen defenders clashed each other, fell inside to Luke Hackett, who possibly should have taken it on 3 or 4 more yards and made sure of it. But that's county semi-finals for you. You're trying to make the decisions, split moments and split seconds decisions about what's the right thing to do. But both keepers stood up to both opportunities and saved them and turned them around the post. So overall, enjoyable but tense, and certainly you'd have to say that Glen will be the happier the team at half time. I think the fact there's only a point in it, and they've held that SARS forward line to 8 points in the first half.
It's nothing like the first game. The free shooting we've had, the 48 scores we had in the first semi-final, which was an extraordinary.
Yeah, nothing poles apart. I suppose the one thing that's quite similar though is that both half back lines in fairness are giving good ball into the full forward lines. I think the Glen are probably getting a slightly better return, obviously with Patrick in there, but they're giving good ball. Robert Downey cameoed that by a fantastic crossfield ball to Patrick when he got his second score. But in fairness to the SARS half-back line, they similarly are doing that as well, where they're giving good, long, direct ball. So from that perspective, I think, there are similarities to the first game. I think just back to Mark's point earlier as well, just to commend both goalkeepers, I think they're doing really well. They made 2 excellent saves from 2 goal chances. Kennedy from Patrick's one, and as Mark said, Cotsey from Luke Hackett's one. But the quality of their puck-outs as well. When they have to go along, they can go along, but some of their short puck-outs have been excellent. I think Cotsey has really worked on that part of his game over the last couple of years, and Kennedy is expertly finding, particularly Kennedy or Jack O'Connor here on this left wing, with some really, really good direct balls. So commendable to both keepers. I think they're doing very well.
I suppose, what do SARS have to do now to try and pull away from the Glen here, Mark? Like, where do you go about to try and find more space and more freedom in front?
I think you have to suck out the half-back line. Brian Moylan and the 2 Downey brothers having a rock and a half-back line there for the Glen, and there's very little change and there's very little ball going past either of the 3 of them. So if I was in the SARS dressing room right now, I'd be trying to find a way to either go over them or just tease them out, maybe Patrick, get them out to the 65-yard line and get some good quality ball inside. That'd be the first thing I'd be doing. I suppose the second thing you'd have to say, you probably need our half-back line to be supplying a bit more better ball inside as well. But look, overall you'd have to say both mentors will be happy at half time that they're still there. This is a county semi-final, and it's a massive, massive day for both teams, Patrick. They're going to be nervous because nobody wants to lose a semi-final.
Of course they don't, but from a Glen point of view, I think you're happy enough if you're Ian Lynham, Dermot O'Callaghan, Graham Callan, Gavin Moylan, David Cunningham, Shawnee McGrath. You're happy enough as things stand so far, only a point down, you're in the game.
Very much in the game, Patrick. I suppose the type of game that the Glen play, and Marcus, on about keeping the Glen half back line out of it. I mean, I suppose the Glen work rate almost force you to drive it down onto our half back line, and that comes from the Glen forwards working extremely hard and then making sure that the SARS defence coming out are under pressure striking it. Now that's a hard game to play. To do that and sustain it for 60 minutes is hard. So the Glen energy levels, they need to be up there all the time. They need to be in your face. So fitness will play an awful, big part in it. And I think the Glen maybe in that instance then making some substitutions at the right time and bringing on the right type of player to keep that work rate going. So if the Glen are to win, I think they need to continue with that 100% high octane type performance.
Yeah, and we've seen from the Glen, Shawnee, in the quarter final that Patrick, once they get a sniff of a victory, they're not going away. And they took on McKilly in the quarter final. A team that had won 3 counties in a row, had a lot of good quality players all over the field, but they toughed it out. And the longer the Glen stay in this game, the better opportunity they'll have of winning it. As well as that, as was the last time I think SARS were here, they played Aaron's Own on a Friday night last year. They came out on the wrong side of the result as well. A game that was, again, a bit like today, Patrick, not overly free-flowing, very, very tight, very tense. So,
Is that something you've in the back of your mind, that you don't get many games down here compared to the Glen?
I don't know. I wouldn't have looked at it that way at all. I would just look at it that this is a young team, a young SARS team, sprinkled in with a couple of very experienced players in Conor O'Sullivan, William Carney, and Craig Leahy at the back in particular. And I mean the rest of Denny Carney, but the rest of the lads, Patrick, have no seen a county medal in the back pocket. So a lot of the Glen players have 2 county medals in their back pocket, and that obviously will be a help to them. So I'm just saying that the last time the SARS played here, they didn't play particularly well, and I think they will be disappointed with their overall performance, that they haven't put more scores on the board. I mean, it'll be hard to believe that Luke Hackett, James Sweeney, Killian Murphy and Daniel Hogan haven't been on the score sheet from play up to this point. I think they'll be slightly disappointed that those 4 forwards, because they're quality forwards that are quite capable of scoring, but they haven't got on the score sheet.
No change from a SARS point of view as the Glen come out in the field, and it's no change in the Glen. So as we are finishing out, the only difference will be in this second half that the lights will have to come on, because we're not going to finish in bright enough circumstances in the second half, as Diarmuid Corwin is throwing slitters down to both ends and saying, lads, these are the 5 slitters we're playing with in this second half. As Corwin makes his way back to the centre of the field, have a look and sees 4 men awaiting him into the centre of the field as he shows in for the second half of the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship semi-final 2. Over towards that far side of the field, then got a first handle on the ball. Ball's walked over there by Luke Horgan though. Horgan shot and scripted Hurley, looking to try and level the game, but goes across the face of goal and wide. So teams now starting to find each other out. Alan Kennedy with possession. Carney just looks like he just tripped over himself, found a knot in the ground as long ball in towards Simon Kennefick, just flicked away from him, and Hoggy's got possession. Hoggy's gone in through. He's passing Carney's side, stands up, shot. Goal! A typical Patrick Horgan goal, unsighting the keeper and buries it to the back of the net.
Well, Willie Carney had dropped his hurley, and I think Patrick noticed within a millisecond that it was down, so it was a case of just throwing it up and let rip. Great ball out again. We had mentioned about the half back lines and the midfield sector, maybe giving good ball in. Great finish.
Well, there's a possibility, Patrick, that you had mentioned at half time about the lights. It is pretty dark out here, but it was a quality strike from Daniel Carney, from Patrick Horgan in the back of the net.
And undoubtedly the keeper was unsighted from seeing that shot. There was a half hook inside there on the Sarsman, but turning away here is Killian Murphy. Murphy going down through the line. He's been, Adam O'Donovan, a lazy Hurley into the back there on by Adam O'Donovan, and he's going to be picking up a yellow card here for his troubles.
Yeah, but it's amazing, like, you know, we actually are here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh now where half of the stadium is actually lighting, and you can see there's a remarkable difference on the lighted section of the field versus the other side of the field. So I don't know whether the keeper for whether Alan Kennedy didn't see the ball, but you know, it certainly ended up in the back of the net by a quality strike from Patrick Horgan.
I think, to be fair, lads, Alan Kennedy didn't move until the ball actually hit the net.
No, I think it was the strike though, Mark, has lit up the field, you know.
Yeah.
Typical Shiny McGrath answer here on the Irish Examiner as Aaron Myers reduces the margin down to a solitary point.
Good response, in fairness. And you always say that to your team, you know, if you go a goal down or a point down, get the next score. So, fairness to them.
So Myers with his third point of the game as the lights seem to be slow turning on here this evening. Pucko goes short and over towards that far side of the field. Batted down there by Craig Leahy. Finds Luke Hackett. Hackett looking to try and level the game, a quick succession. The umpires are looking at it, but they say no, goes left and wide.
Well, this is a big test now for SARS. Hot favourites coming into the match. 1-7 players, 9 points, and not playing their best at this moment in time.
Long pucko from Hickey down the centre of the park. Liam Collins underneath the breaking ball, but also too was Cillian Murphy. Works it short, and Darcy walks out towards his near side to Conor O'Sullivan. Switches the play over towards that far side, over towards the onrushing Myers. He's got 10 points in play in this championship. He's looking for his first this afternoon. That's brilliant, absolutely brilliant from a Sarsfields point of view.
Quality score. Myers never broke step, caught it off his left hand, never broke his step and slapped it over off the left with a great ball. I think it was Conor O'Sullivan, I think, that struck the ball into him, and Cillian Murphy happened to find himself back there as well. I don't know, have we seen a position switch, but he's gone to the middle of the field, I think, at the start of the second half.
Pucko going short over towards that far side, finds Brian Moylan, half blocked down, just trickles out over the sideline. Glenn Ball.
I think James Sweeney has also come back out to the half forward line. He's in centre forward now, marking Robert Downey.
Chance here for Luke Hackett, and the umpire goes to the flag, and all of a sudden, from going that 2 points down, SARS have gone back into a lead again.
Yeah, they've got the last 3 points, and we mentioned players at half time like, say, Luke Hackett and that you know, were quiet, or Myers that were quiet in that first half, but they're the ones that have stepped up and gotten the scores from play, and that'll have, you know, brought SARS right back into the game and brought the confidence levels back up, because to be sucker punched by that goal, the response has been very, very good.
So SARS into a lead once again in the 4th minute. Great catch from Kevin Crowley to Daniel Carney, and quick hurling long ball in towards the exclusion zone. Great catch inside by Myers. He's got possession, under pressure, block going in, and it's gone out for a wide ball.
A good play by Robert Downey and by David Doolan. A hook on Myers there, who did very well to win a high ball that came into him. And his ball is squirted out for a wide ball.
Hickey with possession, sending it to the north stand side of the field as the temperature starts to cool, the sun starts to set here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and a chance to the Glen to burn up the field once again over that far side through Dean Brosnan. Shortens the grip of the Hurley and stitches it over the bar.
Brilliant score, probably his second, Mark. Yeah, second, and even just his little flick just before it to give himself that small bit of space to go into was typical Dean Brosnan and badly needed. Really, really good score.
Level game we go once again. Very nervous, tetchy. Second semi-final, there was a wild swing from Hackett, but that didn't deter the super catch from Owen Downey. He sends the ball to the far side, looking for that big tussle over that far side, and Hoggy just over the sideline. He was looking for a free off Will Kennedy. The referee says no, it's going to be a sideline ball.
Patty, you have Will Kennedy in your mind. I don't know what it is. Is he a singer or a dancer or something? But certainly he's after getting more mentions tonight than Willie Carney.
He's obviously a good player, one way or the other.
I'm just looking across as well, saying the North Stand, the young lads that are in the front seats, like, just to be there to witness Patrick's goal. For young lads down at games, I mean, it must be just lifelong memories they'll have of the guy. Every day he comes down, he delivers top class performances, and that goal was as good a goal as you'll see in this year's championship.
Ball going for a sideline, just another line ball to be taken over that far side of the field. Interesting to note, Glen Rovers 27 times champions, looking for a third appearance in the final in a row, losing the last 2 finals to McKilly in 2019 and Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and the famous final here in 2020 behind pretty much closed doors. 200 spectators allowed as no advantage for Simon Kennefic. Fair call from the referee. It's going to be a free from back at the centre of the field.
Yeah, and again, you know, and we've made this point all year about referees keeping their hand up to allow the advantage and to let people know that the advantage is still being played. I think that's very good from a referee's point of view, because it takes this thing out of both sets of mentors. If, you know, everybody knows really what a free is, they see the referee putting up their hand, then the game is developing to see whether there's going to be any advantage accruing. There wasn't really an advantage accruing, and Diarmuid Cowan still had his hand up, and when the ball was lost by Simon Kennefic inside, there was no hassle, there was no shouting from either sideline as to, the time was gone, or it was unfair. So I think good refereeing.
So a chance now for Hoggy over on that far side of the field. From his own 65, not greatly struck, going inside, and Simon Kennefic is going in up on the breaking ball inside, looking for options outside, sees one in Adam O'Donovan, shortens the grip of Hurling and stitches it over the bar.
Good score and good play out of Simon, in fairness. Just comparing that and contrasting it to Aaron Myers earlier, Aaron won a great ball and maybe should have popped it out and went for a score. Simon could have done the same there, but looked up and gave a brilliant crossfield ball and a great score from Adam O'Donovan. Adam
O'Donovan's first point in Championship 2021 as this ball is flicked down. There was a chance of a goal if Jack O'Connor saw ball outside. That was Luke Hackett, I should say. Here is Jack O'Connor. Dummy the shot there from Downey. He's going by the byline, going across the face of goal. Danger averted.
Yeah, that could have nestled in the top left-hand corner very, very easily. And, you know, the more of those opportunities that go begging, you know, will start to get a little bit nervous, Patrick. It is like you'd have to say the Glen are, you know, getting a bit. I won't say getting the look they're not. It really is that the Glen are slightly better at this moment in time.
Puck out down towards this near sideline. And this time it's Hoggy who's come out on top of it. Shortens the grip, bends the shoulder, sends it long into the square. Good work there from Owen Murphy though. Finds Killian Roach and sends it over towards that far side of the field. And going on the bike here is Darcy. Going over on that far side of the field, working his way inside. Good pace shown in towards Killian Murphy. Ends up being locked up in a tackle. Murphy sprays the ball up, shortens the grip of the Hurley, and that's his second point of Championship 2021.
And in fairness, Patrick, it was a good score because I thought the chance had been lost. It was a good pop pass, but you know, Killian kind of misplaced it a small bit, and Brian Moylan bottled him up well, and under the harder shot off his left he scored. So excellent score from Killian, in fairness.
Level game once again. Glen Rovers 1-9, Stars 12 points. And Hickey takes the puck out down to our left hand side. Going to try and climb inside there was Luke Corrigan. Owen Murphy spreads it back to Conor O'Sullivan. Big calls from Jack O'Connor to switch the play to that far side. As coming on the break is Aaron Myers. Myers switching it back inside. Switch the play back down towards the near sideline. James Sweeney now under pressure. Great tackle from Stevie McDonald, the real expert, the real stalwart in this Glen team. But Sweeney done well, finds his teammate inside. He's under pressure and there's a foul going in there on Luke Hackett. And it's another opportunity for Stars to retake the lead.
Sweeney did really, really well to get the ball, to win a 50-50 ball, and he recycled the ball to Luke Hackett. Luke looked like he was going to shoot, and then he put the shoulder down, he stepped into the tackle, and young Downey had committed himself to put the Hurley out to try and knock the ball away from him, and it's a handy free in now for Stars to retake the lead.
And you know what, that was better play out of Aaron Myers. I wasn't being critical earlier, obviously he's entitled to have a shot, but just sometimes you have to look up and spray a pass, and in that instance he could have had a shot a couple of seconds earlier, but he sprayed it across to James, so it was good, mature, open type play. Well done, Aaron.
Yeah, and in tight games like this where every score actually counts now, what you're really hoping for your players is they make the correct mental decision, I suppose, on the ball.
Bang on.
Shot going in here from Myers and he stitches it over the bar, and that's his 5th point of the afternoon, 4th from place ball.
Yeah, look, I mean, your free taker is such an important part of any team. I mean, you're expecting your free taker to get at least 80, if not 90% of his scores. Aaron had one in the first half that tailed off White. It was a difficult shot, but in general, his free taking since has been very, very good. The same as Patrick, so both free takers are doing very well.
Puck out, landing short to David Noonan, splashes the ball long towards the corner. Typical Hoggy shot, typical Hoggies of the Hoggy score. They're clapping their hands to the north stand, it is.
He's just exceptional like it. But again, a quality ball in, but he was gone. He was spread eagle from William Carney. One touch, gave the little shimmy over the left shoulder, over the bar. Fantastic by Patrick Horgan.
1-6 to the name of Patrick Horgan this afternoon. Ball worked in side. Switch the play down towards this near sideline. So chance here for the Glen to try and pounce on Kennefic. We've seen 2 outrageous scores in the semi-final. Simon Kennefic is starting to do that here once again.
Super score, great score off his right. I mean, in fairness now, that's 2 scores he's been involved in now in the last couple of minutes. One crossfield ball for Adam O'Donovan and that another one there. Brilliant take, a bit like Patrick, got the ball, then created a bit of space for himself and finished brilliant off his right.
What a catch inside by Robert Downey. Superb feeling by the centre-back.
Yeah, and he's carrying on where he left off the last day in the quarter-final against Mulcahy. He's unbelievable under the high ball. Great trait to have. Reminiscing of Brian Cochran in his days playing with both county and club. When that high ball comes down, he's standing underneath it. He's shown great maturity, and he's been outstanding again today at centre-back for the Glen.
Just something here, Shawnee, is it in the back of the Glen minds not to get a red card like from the quarter final? Is that in the back of the mind just to try and keep it, beyond the edge, but don't be over the edge, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Glen will always play on the edge. It's just our style, and it's the way we were reared to play, I suppose. Play with a spirit and play teak tough hurling. But there's a difference between teak tough hurling, Patrick, and stupidity and getting silly cards and aimless striking at the ball and foul play and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, you're right. Getting that mix right between energy and that.
Danger, across the face of goal. Alan Kennedy quick to it, beating Luke Horgan to it. And Kennedy working it short to Kevin Crowley. He evaded the hit there from Dean Brosnan. He was coming at him like a train. Switch the plane towards the Sars forward line. Walk it, but they've mixed it up between the two of them, Myers and Hogan. And that gives an opportunity to Adam Lynch to try and work it out. Poor ball out, cleared out though there by the cornerback, and a chance here now for Darcy. He loves space in front of him. He eats up straight into him. He's going to be met here by Patrick Horgan. Good tackle by Horgan, get dispossessed him, and that gave a chance to Downey, but Darcy kept going, got another touch to keep it going forward, but that now gives a chance. Bit of a wild slash from the Glen, but in fairness to Robert Downey, real tackle was brilliant.
But Patrick Darcy went on the move there. He had no support whatsoever. There was 3 Glen players were chasing. Where were the rest of the Sars forwards in that situation? That's the big question. But Darcy has some pace and he's a real threat, but he had no support on that occasion.
So chance now for Conor Hickey from a free inside the 13-metre line. Daniel Carney having a confuffle with the referee in the middle of the field, saying, well, Corwin is saying he was about a foot and a half over the top, as Daniel Hogan now trying to pick his fight with Patrick Horgan inside the half forward line. Well, Daniel Hogan, if you're listening to me, I'll tell you, pick the right size fight if you can. As Conor Hickey sends this one long, going all the way inside towards the full forward line. Good touch away there by Luke Horgan, under pressure inside there, but the Sarsman, he's on his knees. The ball wasn't near him, as Conor O'Sullivan just scoops the ball out in front of him, plays it backwards out towards Craig Leahy, and there was a bit of a hand in there, and Craig Leahy just jumped into it and got the free, and Sullivan plays it short and back to his keeper Alan Kennedy, sprays it long towards the Glen 45. Adam Lynch though breaking onto the ball, onto possession. You can see how nervous teams are here this afternoon, this second semi-final, as the ball's worked out to Killian Murphy and Daniel Cannon. Well, he just thought about it, he didn't know what he was doing for a second as the Glen turn it over, and that's a lazy tackle there on David Noonan, and Noonan winning a super free in the far side.
But sometimes, Patrick, you just need to do things on instinct, and I think what happened there with Daniel, he was within 2 minds, and the ball is funneled back now, and they've given away a simple enough free. They'll be very, very disappointed, because Sars had possession and should have been delivered inside, and it wasn't. And has been turned over here, and it's another opportunity for Patrick Horgan. But I'd have to say I'd be a bit disappointed with James Sweeney. Shawnee, you would have mentioned him in the quarter final that you thought he may have been somebody that could bring something to the Cork half forward line. He hasn't set the world alight this evening.
No, I think Robert Downey is
Patrick Horgan stitching over that. Sorry lads, Patrick Horgan stitching over that score. We're going for a water break, and it's the Glen who've turned around the 1 point deficit into a third quarter 2 point lead.
Yeah, and just back to Mark's point, I think fellas like James Sweeney need to come into the game from their perspective, but from the Glen's perspective, I suppose Robert Downey is doing a huge job on him. I mean, the way the ball is coming down on the Glen half back line, Mark mentioned it at half time, what Sars have to do to try and beat the Glen is stay away from that half back line, but there was a huge percentage of ball ended up down on that Glen half-back line. It's exactly what they wanted. It's probably coming from the Glen's incessant pressure up in the forward line, working extremely hard, and then allied to some individual brilliance from Patrick getting a goal and a point in that half, Simon Kennefic getting a superb score, Dean Brosnan getting an excellent score from play. The Glen scores from play have been really good and inspirational. No, the credit Sars, they're the same. Aaron Myers has stepped up. In fairness, he got some good scores. Daniel Hogan is working hard. Killian Murphy's working hard, and Luke Hackett got a good score from play. So all in all, it's still very much in the melting pot. The Glen are probably the better at the moment, but there's nothing in it. There's only 2 points in it.
Just looking in front of us here, Peter Queally and Barry Myers really laying down the law. What we'll call the Paul Canuck is out, but this time it's actually not the magnets, it's actually the sheets are out, and they're really laying down the instructions here, Mark.
Yeah, Patrick, and I suppose if you're in the Sars camp right now, you are certainly you're concerned because your team are 2 points down for a game that they probably would have been expecting to be in front at this stage. But we'd have to give great credit to both teams. Very, very physical, very tight. But the Glen, to me, are slightly better. There's no doubt Sars have the potential to turn this around and get a couple of scores. But like they'll need to get a score on the board fairly soon.
Substitutions on both sides. Calvin Healy is coming on for Conor Doris, and from a Sars point of view, Colin McCarthy is in for Daniel Hogan, who's been withdrawn. So change either side at the second half water break at 3/4 time. The Glen 112, 15 points, plays Sars 13 points as Sars have possession in the centre of the field. Cian Darcy off towards Daniel Carney, long ball in towards the full forward line, flicked on, running through, squirting through, but a chance here for the Glen to try and clear the lines. They do so through David Dooling over towards that far side of the field. Here's Brian Moylan, it looks like, in fact, long ball looking for Doris inside, but good tackle there by the Sars player. That was Will Carney. Clear there by the fullback Owen Murphy. Long ball inside, Sars in possession. Just flicked outside. Jack O'Connor, good control, close control, under pressure from the under 20 star. Owen Downey turns back on the left, sends it across the face of goal, right and wide.
That's brilliant defending from Stephen MacDonald, in fairness. Jack had turned onto his right, but Mackie gave him no space, and under ferocious pressure off the hurley, without able to catch it again, he had to strike it off his left. Super defensive play from Mackie.
Yeah, outstanding by MacDonald. And again, you know, Jack O'Connor, it'll show you how Sars are thinking. They have moved Jack O'Connor from the half forward line into the full forward line now to try and get a couple of scores on the board.
Carl Hickey finds man in space. Dean Brosnan on the loop round is Owen Downey. Switch the play, looking for Kennefic inside. Leaves a gauche. Heard the show from Hoggy. Hoggy turns back on the right, and Hoggy stitches it over the bar.
And obviously, you're right, Patrick. I think Patrick probably did give a call to Simon to say leave it. That's 1-4 from play. Marquee players getting marquee scores, in fairness. That's a brilliant return.
Ball worked down long, going inside towards the full forward line, looking for Jack O'Connor. He's caught by Aaron Myers, jersey being held, half shot going in, well, it went left, but the referee was playing an advantage. There was a tug of the jersey on Myers, and that's going to be a 21-yard free.
Yeah, and a correct decision there by the referee to award a free. Myers probably was a goal-scoring opportunity. They've kept the opportunity down, but maybe there was a flick from the Glen defender as well. But it's all about tight margins now, Patrick, on both sides.
It's an opportunity here for Myers to reduce the margin to 2 points, and he does that. So 113, 16 points, plays Sars 14 points. We're in the 49th minute of this semi-final. Are we heading for an East Cork final, or are we heading for a Glen versus Middleton final? All to be revealed in the next 15 minutes or so, live here on the Irish Examiner. Brought to you in association with the Co-op Superstores, who sponsor this superb senior hurling championship here in Cork. Ball's walked down, Colin McCarthy in possession. Switch the play into space over on that far side. Breaking onto it is Aaron Myers. Myers turns back on the right, looking for his second point of the game from play, and the umpire goes for the white flag.
Good score. He was involved in the last score as well. Obviously he took the free, but he won the free from a good catch in the air and out in front of his man. Dave Dooling is an excellent defender. So he's on a good defender in fairness, Darren. Dave Dooling's been around since the county final wins in 15 and 16. He's top class, and Aaron has given him, it's a good tussle between the two of them.
But the ball is starting to go into the full forward line, Shawnee, which is the critical thing for Sars. It needs to go over that half-back line.
Great catch inside there by Kevin Crowley. Brings the ball back inside to Cian Darcy. Long ball down below into the corner for Darcy. That's good tackle there from Robert Downey. Holding up James Sweeney. Tussle for possession. Colin McCarthy and Adam O'Donovan inside there. And it's the Glen man O'Donovan who comes out with it on this occasion. Just scoops the ball long in towards David Noonan. Noonan touching the ball off his Hurley. Short ball, looking for Brosnan. Not the greatest touch for Brosnan. Sweeney got a Hurley inside her. They allowed Carney get in on the action. Brozzy still fighting. McCarthy's in on the action. Real ruck inside there. Ruck ensued out towards Doris. He's got 3 points in this championship already. Going a long way in. Conor Doris with an amazing score.
Monster score from Doris. We mentioned him in the quarter-final. He loves the limelight here. That's exactly what he's done again today. But what scores he got the last night, this is certainly better today. Monster
incredible
score from Doris.
Probably one of the best left-hand hurlers in the county.
The voice of Shania McGrath and Mark Larner's proceeding as Aaron Myers gets back on the action. And Myers looking for his 3rd point from play. That's a great response from the Sars corner forward.
No, it's hotting up. With 10 minutes to go, it's a great game. It's opening up. There's not too much tactics. Let it go, get it in fast. The last 2 scores now of the highest quality from Doris and Aaron Myers, in fairness.
Ball has been moving a bit faster as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
A bit more direct as well.
Things start to open up in the final quarter here. Possession over towards the far side of the field. Under pressure over there on the far side, Craig Leahy. Blocked out off of Glenman. It's going to be a Sars line ball.
Yeah, what a stalwart he has been for Sars. He's around a long time. You know, played underage hurling at centre back, but more often than not has played full back for Sars. He's a real quality player. Very, very steady. Rarely makes an error.
Ball goes short. Dean Brosnan kept good close control. Referee's gone out with his silent official. He's flag up over on the far side. Referee hasn't seen it. Jim McAvoy has to go to the buzzer. Ball was gone out as play continued on. And there's going to be a substitution here in front of us for Sars. Ben Nodwell is coming into play, replacing Luke Hackett. Man who starred in the under 17 and under 18 sides over the last couple of seasons for Sars. Chance now for Daniel Carney over on that far side of the field. The City side leading by a solitary point. Good flick on by the Glen man. Carney under pressure, plays it back to Craig Leahy. Leahy going back inside his 45, just drops the ball to reset the catch count, as the fella says. Long ball in towards the full forward line. Looking for Nodwell inside. He's broken onto the breaking ball. Talbot going for the shot and goal and just stuck it over. Tight, but got it over.
Yeah, good play from Craig Leahy as well. He had the composure and the experience to drop the ball, reset himself, and then drove an excellent long ball in. As Mark said a while ago, a lot more direct now. A lot more ball being peppered into that full forward line.
Level game once again. 114 the Glen, 17 points Sars. Ball being walked in towards the centre of the park. Good catch there on this occasion by Brosnan. Looking to try and play it into space. Horgan ended up the floor. Corwin says, come on, let's play on. Nothing in it. Conor O'Sullivan in possession. Short ball to Killian Roach. Roach now walking down that left flank in front of the north stand. Sees the man free inside. That's Colin McCarthy. McCarthy working his way inside. Under pressure though. David Noonan turning over that possession. Adam O'Donovan was inside there. So was Liam Collin. And the Glen man just knocked it out over the sideline.
Yeah, tight margins, Patrick. Everything is starting to tighten up now. You know, Conor O'Sullivan has been moved on to Patrick Horgan as well in the last couple of minutes as well. So, your man Will Kennedy, I think, is after being taken off and been replaced by Conor O'Sullivan.
Will Carney still on the field from what I can see. And so is Conor O'Sullivan. Surely be cutting the podcast tomorrow morning with Dale because he's watching on this afternoon. Jack O'Connor turns back on the right and Sars retake the lead.
Good score. But you know what I've noticed actually from line balls? There's no Joe Canning stuff. There's no long high into the air. They're all short ones trying to find their man. And I always think that. Jimmy used to always say to us, don't waste the line ball by putting it wide. Keep it in play.
Keep it in possession, yeah. But the last 4 scores have come from the inside line. They've come from the 21. Get the ball into the 21. That's where the scores are going to come from.
Great catch here from the Sars point of view. Daniel Carney turning back on the left hand side. Super catch by Murphy. Carney looking to try and add on to it. Poor ball though. Lands short and Hickey happy enough to leave it. Trick out left and wide. 114 to 14 it was 5 minutes ago. Now Sars lead 18 points to 114.
Yeah, and Mark said a while ago, you know, we're going to be testing Sars resolve. Now the Glens resolve is being tested. They were probably the better side and they found themselves a point down. So it'll be a good test now to see how they respond. Adam O'Donovan on the attack.
Breaking ball, Adam O'Donovan. That's a great hook inside there by Colin McCarthy. And that just fumbled his shot going in. Alan Kennedy pumps the ball to the cornerback Conor O'Sullivan.
Yeah, but I think off camera you can see Hoggy was roaring for the ball after Adam O'Donovan. Don't be taking on chances, give it into me.
Ball over there, Aaron Myers winning the sideline ball. McAvoy, our sideline officials telling him to move off there as Myers is stepping over. He's going to leave it off now to his captain Daniel Carney.
Yeah, off camera now, Patrick. The Glen have just left Patrick Horgan inside the 14-yard line on his own. One other player, Simon Kennefick, is on the edge of the D. Every other player from the Glen is outside the 65-yard line. It's quite obvious now that the Glen are going to try and get a goal in the last 4 or 5 minutes to get themselves into the county final.
James Sweeney just leaving that ball work through as Owen Downey clears the lines. One-on-one situation. Hoggy's got it. Turns him on in 6 minutes. Trying to bury the man past him. Hurley being held. Hoggy's inside the 20 the exclusion zone. And Conor O'Sullivan is going to see himself in the referee's notebook.
Good play, but again, going back, James Sweeney from the Stars' perspective should have been better. The ball popped out to him. He left it, kind of almost beat him. Brilliant player from Owen Downey, but James should have been sharper. And a great ball down there from Owen. And of course, when we went into Patrick, there's only going to be one result.
Yeah, well, you just mentioned beforehand about the isolation and stuff like that, right? You know, the Glen have created huge space, and I'm a bit surprised with Sars in actual fact that they haven't dropped the man back in front of Patrick Horgan. That's the way to counteract that now, you know.
I would have thought so, yeah.
Goes all the way in and over the bar. I hope that's not my car behind the scoreboard, because Hoggy absolutely leathered it out of the ground as the referee is saying, no, let's stop now because we've got a substitution coming here, and that is Evan Murphy, who got a point in the quarter final. Liam Collin is being replaced here by Evan Murphy.
Good player, Evan, yeah. He was an excellent minor a couple of years ago. Really, really good, accurate player. Had some great intermediate games this year with us. And Liam just gasses out. Liam gives it everything. He empties the tank and he put in a great shift there.
3 minutes left of the clock. Sars man knocked it back in favour for Daniel Carney. Play continues on. Carney just popped the ball outside, was unsure what he was doing. Darcy was in the way, but Carney's back inside there. Darcy is outside the line. Ball kept in. Ball's gone out over the sideline. It's a Glen line ball.
Level game, 3 minutes, and whatever bit of stoppage time is probably going to be a minute or two, I would suspect, at the end of the game. It's impossible to call who's going to win this now, but what you want out of both of your teams is steady head, coolness, 2 hands in the hurley at all stages, and no need for heroics, just nice and steady play.
Good line cut by Owen Downey up the line. Chance inside there. Was that a chop is the question? And Conor Doris, he done very well, but he just dragged it out over the line.
Yeah, good decision.
Ball's walked short. Glen are in there fighting. Adam O'Donovan just kicked it forward. A chance of Owen Murphy. Pops it outside. Kevin Crowley shortens the stick. Looking for the full forward line. Too long on that occasion for Jack O'Connor. An opportunity. Good flick away by Ben Nodwell. Gone out for the right hand side and wide in the melting pot. We had a massive game here last night. Newcestown were 8 points clear with 10 minutes to go and a man up. And Kanturk came back to level the game, and Kanturk won the game by 9 points in extra time. Are we heading for ET? Long way to go. We're inside the final 2 minutes. Possession is got by the Glen. The Glen have it. Mannon's up on the floor. And it's going to be a free in for the Glen. Simon Kennefick.
I think today, without really completely lighting up the scoreboard, he's still got 2 experts and well taken points. I think Simon is showing at different stages of the game great composure, like held up, won the free there, showed a bit of courage, set up a score for Adam O'Donovan earlier. He's had a good game in fairness to him.
Corwin said, well, look how quick Kennefick got up when Corwin said, come on, we want to keep this game going. I want this at a high tempo. The 2-time All-Ireland official has got real experience here.
Yeah, he's a quality referee, always has been. He lets the game flow, but he's very honest, very fair.
2 minutes of additional time to be added on here as Patrick Horgan inside the 45, feet inside this near touchline, turns it from right to left over the bar.
2 to go. Great score in fairness. You wouldn't bet against him in those situations. He loves those environments.
110 to the name of Patrick Horgan. It's the Glen by a point. Are they heading back for a third consecutive final, or can Sars have a talk in this yet, as Cillian Murphy now in possession, shortens the stick to Owen Murphy, pops the ball outside, looking for Darcy, going down this right hand sideline. He's going down. Owen Downey got a hand inside there. Darcy did well, composed himself, lengthens the stick, goes across the face of goal though, left and wide.
Yeah, a bit of inexperience there by Cian Darcy now. He was under pressure, having lost the ball as well. Probably would have been better off to funnel the ball back across the square to the likes of Jack O'Connor, who was waiting for it.
As we start injury time, 2 minutes of additional time to go in this semi-final, as Cathal Hickey takes the puck out and goes route one long down the centre. Simon Kennefick was climbing underneath it, picking it up underneath there. Well, there was a poor shot. There's a chance now for Sars to try and set up an attack. Poor shot from Doris on that occasion. Kennedy goes quick, looking for Craig Leahy, who pops the ball inside to Will Kearney. Long ball from Kearney, route one in towards the full forward line. They've got it, walking the ball inside. Ben Nodwell turns back on the left hand side, going for goal. Sweeney just left it through his hurley and couldn't get a grasp of it, and that gives an opportunity for the Glen to try and square it up. Stevie MacDonald works it back inside to Rob Downey, clears the lines, edge on the seat stuff here live on the Irish Examiner as the Glen start to break through. Noonan half hooked, walks inside, he's got to the right man though. Hoggy's got possession and Hoggy's got the score.
Come at the hour, come at the man, Patrick Horgan. Fantastic score, great ball in from the Glen. Put 2 points between them. Sars need a goal now to get back into this game.
1 minute. Can they get the green flag? Long ball, route one. Robert Downey! Brilliant from Robert Downey. That is exemplary stuff.
I mean, that in addition to Stephen MacDonald a couple of minutes earlier, like obviously Patrick and the scores and all that, but in fairness to the two boys in the backs, Robert Downey and Stephen MacDonald have been absolutely mammoths.
2 mentors facing up in front of us down below. Play continues on as James Sweeney under pressure. He's got the pick. Sweeney turning back outside under pressure, looking to try and play it across the square into space. Finds Daniel Kearney over on the far side. Kearney got a flick on, just couldn't get a flick away. Time continues on as there's a free out at Kearney with a lazy leg, and it's a free for the Glen.
15 seconds left on the clock, Patrick. The Glen have won a leg and a half inside the county final at this stage.
Free to come. What is Diarmuid Corwin going to add on? But it's all in the Glen's favour here. 117 to 18. The two outsiders of the party this afternoon. Are they heading to the final in 2 weeks' time? All eyes turn to Diarmuid Corwin. All over! And the Glen head to the final. Their third consecutive final with a 2-point win. 117 to 18 points in a tough teeth battle in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. And in the final, it's Middleton versus Glen Rovers.
Well, it's an absolute massive result for Cork Hurling here today. Both outsiders, raging outsiders I would have to say on both occasions, have taken down the hot favourites. Glen Rovers, in fairness to them, they've shown that fighting spirit all year long. Go back, I think, Johnny, to down to Glentown, where they were actually nearly gone out of the championship against Newtown Shandram. They battled their way back into the county final again. They have been magnificent. They toughed it out from every quarter. There was nothing in it, but you'd have to say the last quarter ebbed and flowed. It really started to open up in the last quarter for me, Patrick, where the scores were coming fast and thick. But you'd have to say that man, Patrick Horgan, he's got the goal that has separated the teams today, but he's also got a couple of quality points that have separated and put the Glen into the county final, and I think deservedly so.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and the last water break, it was 112 to 13. So at that stage, all the Glen had to do was, cut out the goal opportunities, keep it tight at the back, and go tit for tat for scores. And that's exactly what happened. In that last quarter, it finished 5 even. And when the Sars lads did get an opportunity in on goal, Aaron Myers, James Sweeney, Luke Hackett, and these guys, Steve MacDonald, Owen Downey, Dave Dooling, they really stood up and were counted. They were absolutely magnificent. And as Mark alluded to loads of times, when the Glen then left one inside, a bit like the Cormac Bazank situation with Middleton, you've got to have defenders and midfielders then looking up and giving quality passes inside. Obviously inside, the man has to control the ball, win possession and finish. But with Bazank in the first game it happened, and obviously with Patrick it happens 9 times out of 10. That was the launch pad for the Glen's victory. But definitely, always the forwards will get the plaudits in situations like this, but I would always tip my hat off to defenders when they work extremely hard, cut out those scores, make it hard on fellas coming in on top of them. And I thought Stephen McDonald and Robert Downey were absolutely brilliant in that Glen defence.
So let's confirm the final of the Co-op Superstores Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship as we bring up the graphic to you. Confirmation in 2 weeks' time, Sunday 21st November, 3:30 throw-in here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Middleton, after their win earlier this afternoon over Blackrock, 422 to 319 over Blackrock. And this conclusion of Glen Rovers 117, Sarsfields 18 points, sees the confirmation of that final mark. And I think from the outset, when you looked at that playoff graphic, I don't think we would have come to this pairing by a long shot.
There's nobody, Patrick, only the teams involved for me would have picked the two final pairings, and that's not being disrespectful in any way. It was just a form of the opposition that they were playing. I'd have to say Stars, I would have felt, with the form team all the way along this year. They put up quality scores, they put up huge scores. I suppose they're going to point to the fact that they didn't have a quarter-final game. They didn't hurl for a month. That'll probably be one of the reasons that the Stars will have put up their performance, or their maybe poorer performance from what was being expected of them today. But look, listen, for me, the Glen, and Shawnee had alluded to it all the game, that the tighter the game would get and the longer they stayed in the game, they were going to have a better opportunity to get to the final. Middleton, for me, hadn't shown any type of form what they showed today. They were absolutely immense. They were brilliant to a man. They put up a massive score of 422. They hadn't any sign of that all year long. And the question is now whether both teams can reproduce the spirit, the determination, the heart. Like both games were filled with tremendous physicality today. One of the big questions, I suppose, is who's going to be refereeing the county final. It obviously, I would suspect, won't be Cathal McAllister, even though he's associated with a Hadda now, but he's a former Midland man. So I think it would be slightly unfair if he gets the county final. Could it be a Nathan Wall? Could it be a Diarmuid Cowan? Could it be a Simon Stokes? We don't know, but it does have a bearing slightly on the final.
Sars, Mark, though, are going to be disappointed the way they performed. They had chances, and they not taking away from the Glen's victory now, right? But I think Sars just fell back into the trap of playing more shorter hurling rather than getting the scores that they have got through the round robin.
Patrick, but they probably didn't meet a team with as much intensity as what the Glen brought to the final today, or the semi-final today. They certainly were hit very, very hard. They didn't get time in the ball. Their forwards didn't get the space that they would have been used to as well. And that's down to the Glen. Their defence was immense. The Glen defence was immense again today. But, you'd have to say Stars will be disappointed. We mentioned earlier on in the commentary that the last time Stars were here, they played against Aaron Zone. Again, a tight match again. They just haven't been able to get over the line, Patrick. They have a number of experienced players, but they have a lot of inexperience as well. And the Glen, having 2 county championships already won. I think they've been beaten in 3 county finals, I think, in the last 6 or 7 years as well. Yeah. The Glen team have massive experience, Patrick. And then when you have big game players like Downey, MacDonald and Horgan, they really came up trumps today. Like Patrick Horgan, 110 from play, and Downey's catches in particular were outstanding as well. And when Jack O'Connor, Sar's best player, went into the full forward line, Steve McDonald kept him scoreless.
And in fairness to Robert Downey, for a guy who doesn't have the quickest hurling ever, but some of the fielding had the last 2 or 3 balls that went down defensively, absolutely immense. And again, you could put it down to the half-back line today. They've been brilliant again in the second half.
Just the exact same, almost a replica of the Mulcahy game, Patrick. Clearing ball. And when you're playing and you're in opposition forward and you have a half-back line dominating like that, it absolutely sucks the life out of you. Then you're back to field as a defender. You're trying to work passes up. You see that the midfield isn't maybe having much success, so you're forced to go along. And then you're isolated inside, waiting for a ball to come through as a corner forward. It absolutely kills you. And in any team, if you can get a dominant half-back line, you're halfway there. And in fairness to the other 2 lads, Robert's brother Owen was outstanding. Brian Moylan shipped a big tackle at the early part of the game. Look, not that, but sure, we certainly know about the Glen. That was never going to rock the likes of him. Brian is made of iron, and he stood up and was absolutely brilliant. And other fellas, in fairness, Dave Dooling in the backs. I mean, obviously, I mentioned a couple of players there earlier. I think Dave Noonan gets a little bit, he doesn't get as much praise as other players. He's so energetic. He's full of running and energy. He was brilliant as well the last day against the Mulcahy. I thought he was excellent. And Dean Brasden, for me, typifies everything that the Glen need. An old warrior. He'll keep going. He'll keep winning ball. He's not selfish. He'll throw it around, give it to the best placed man. He got 2 crucial points today, as did Simon inside. I thought they were brilliant as well. And in fairness to Sars, it takes 2 to tango. It was a really good game. And on the Sars side, I just mentioned him earlier, I thought Kevin Crowley was very, very good. Cian Darcy was brilliant. Tired a bit in the second half, but had a really, really good first half. And at times the second half was good. Jack O'Connor, as Mark said, was excellent. Killian Murphy showed flashes. And Aaron Myers, in fairness, stepped up and got some good scores, and his frees are very good. So they were the standout players from a Sars perspective. But all of the aforementioned Glen players played huge roles. And just in general, that whole never say die spirit was very much evidenced throughout the game.
Patrick Horgan's 8th point of that game, actually when he got the goal, was the moment he broke the 700 point threshold in his club championship career, wearing the Glen jersey in the Cork Club Championship. That is, it's some feat. 27 goals and 620 points.
Yeah, he's just a magnificent player. You know, we're lucky enough that we're living in the lifetime to see a quality player like him. He scores and his wrist work and the way he can shimmy, you know, he shows defenders, and it doesn't matter whether it's club or into county, they're all shaking every time the ball goes into him. When he gets that ball in front of him and he has a half a yard on you, whatever way he can flick his shoulders or his hips, he seems to lose players at will. And then when he gets that chance off the left or off the right, he rarely misses. He's a quality player, and we are blessed to have him here in Cork. He has been outstanding for his club, and he's been outstanding for his county for well over a decade now at this stage. And, you know, the likes of him, we're very, very lucky to have him, Patrick. But, you know, the Glen, in fairness to them, and we mentioned it the last time in the quarter-final after he'd been sent off, that probably the first thing that the Glen will be doing when they're heading back up to the north side would they be lodging an appeal. And thankfully, Patrick was able to play in today's game, because whatever happened the last day, and the appeal was successful, and he was able to take the field of play today, and it would have been a travesty if he wasn't able to do that.
Okay, let's just sit back for a second and look back at the first game from earlier this afternoon, because we're going to preview the final shortly. But let's have a look back at the first game this afternoon. An extraordinary encounter, which was 1-7 apiece at the water break. But Middleton just edged it towards the end, Sean, with 3 points at the last stages of the opening half. 3 points coming from Conor Lahan with a 3-point lead at half-time.
Yeah, 114 to 111 at half-time. Finished 422 to 319. I mean, it was absolutely incredible shooting. And you know, we had said during the commentary that both teams at different stages, we call it the psychological warfare, I suppose, when teams get on top of you. Like Middleton got on top of Blackrock responded well, got a goal from Mark O'Keefe, steadied the ship. Then Middleton got their turn, and maybe a small turning point. Again, Mark said it, that silly throw Hurley. He gave Conor Lahan a chance and he got it and he put it over, and it was 114 to 111. Then Blackrock came into the game in the second half, got an inspirational score from Niall Cashman to make it 216 to 213, and you would say the tide was turning in Blackrock's favour. But again, Middleton were absolutely brilliant. Cormac Bazang was brilliant, got a goal, set up a goal. Luke Farrell the same. Ross O'Regan got maybe a fortuitous one. It was a great take, but a fortuitous finish maybe. But in fairness to Middleton, I kept saying it, look, I'm a fan of him anyway. I think Ben O'Connor is going to be a great coach and has a Cork career ahead of him, but his style of play I love, you know, isolating fellas inside, getting quick ball in, moving the ball fast, nice fast direct hurling, and then using pacey players inside to do damage. So I think that was probably the difference between both sides. There was more pace in the middle and attack than there was in Blackrock. Blackrock were more about power, taking you on, breaking tackles, being in your face and being very, very direct, and Alan Connolly picking off balls. Connolly, I don't think, scored from play. He might have got one from play towards the end. He definitely didn't really have a sniff on goal, albeit he did set up the goal, but I don't think he really had a real shot on goal. So from the point of view of how Middleton won, they won through, again, Mark said it loads of times, aggressive play as well, teak tough tackling it in your face, but the pace from their attack was absolutely brilliant. Farrell in particular, Cormac Bazang, and Colm asked me for the last word. I thought the last word had to go to Conor Lahan. His last goal in particular just lit up the whole ground. Like Patrick Horgan, people come to matches to see players like that, and it'll be an absolutely riveting final. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I mean, Shawnee, like, in fairness to you, like, you've given it a great summing up of exactly what happened there today. Well, I think for me, the one thing I'll take away is that the best players in both clubs today, I thought, hurled out of their skins, to be honest with it. Conor Lahan and Patrick Horgan, we see up front in particular, Luke Farrell as well was outstanding. But at the back, I suppose Sean O'Leary Hayes and Tommy O'Connell were outstanding for Middleton. And then for the Glen, I thought Downey was imperious, added into his younger brother. And like, it was a big decision, I would say, for the Glen to put Robert Downey centre back, because Brian Moylan has been year rock at centre back for a decade. To be fair to him, Moldy has been outstanding. Probably one of the best club players, probably never to play for Cork, I would suspect. He has been really, really good for the Glen for well over a decade. And it's a great county final to be looking forward to, Patrick. And I mentioned earlier on that I thought that the Glen may not put up a massive score, about 115, 116. But I go back to last year's county final. They were brilliant in the county final last year. So I think, we're really looking. I'm not going to be calling any winner because
No. We're going to start now, and we're going to start previewing this final.
No chance.
We need to start this previewing this final now. Get ahead of Anthony Daly ahead of tomorrow morning. Let's get ahead of Daly.
You're looking for the scoop now, Patrick. No.
Glen Rovers and Middleton in the final, 2 weeks' time, 3:30 throw-in under the lights here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Yeah, they want to be turning on the lights earlier in it, because we're going to have a dark, and I hope there'll be a double header as well, Patrick. And you know what, I will say this, the first thing I'm going to say is I hope that the county board are going to take the same lead that the Kilkenny County Board took this week by allowing in 2,000 frontline workers for free. I think that's the first thing that the Cork County Board should be doing, should be announcing it tomorrow. 2,000 free tickets for any frontline worker. The second thing that they need to do is that every national school in Middleton and in the north side in Glen Rovers should be getting whatever allocation of the kids should be left in for free, and there should be a voucher given up there to bring their parents, because we need a big crowd here for the county final. It creates atmosphere, and we saw it there late in the game, particularly between SARS and between SARS and the Glen there. The last 10 minutes, the excitement, you could feel it up here, and we're up at the higher level here. There was massive excitement from the crowd below, and we want to see that in the county final, Patrick, as well. We want a tight final, but we want to get a crowd in here as well and make it as easy as possible for the patrons to get to this match, to get to the county final, but we need a big, large crowd as well.
That's just a 2-minute rant now, avoiding the question of the preview of the county final.
I'll answer the question as best I can, but I'm going to echo what Mark said there, because I think GA is going to have challenges, has had challenges, and will continue to have challenges from the rugby fraternity and the soccer fraternity. And you see the Liverpool, Man United stuff and all that, and fellas want to go across the water and play for all the top teams. I think when fellas get an opportunity to see Conor Lehan in motion, to see Owen Downey and Robert Downey in motion, and in particular to see Patrick Hogan in motion, that's inspirational. It gives you that love to play the game. Myself and Mark grew up in the age where we saw, Jimmy Barry Murphy, Ray Cummins and all these absolute legends play the game, and that inspired us to play. So I think I couldn't agree more with the statement. They should do everything to allow young people, disadvantaged, whatever the word is, anyone that can't afford to go to the game, the opportunity to get in there, and none more so than the health workers that have done unbelievable service. As regards the game, look, it's going to be huge. The styles are slightly different. I think Ben plays a different style. He has a little bit of that to-hand stuff, and, the Glen are a bit more direct. I'd be more focusing on the head-to-heads. Who'll pick up Patrick? Sean O'Leary Hayes picked up the Danger Man, the Blackrock Danger Man today. Will he pick up Patrick Hogan if Patrick lies inside? And if Patrick goes to centre forward, will Tommy O'Connell stay in him? I think Middleton would like to see Tommy free as much as possible, because he's so good at delivering ball. I keep going back to the midfield piece then. Paul Hockney and Sam Cork eventually got on top of Stephen Sullivan or Stephen Murphy and John O'Sullivan, or Daniel Meany was out there for a while. So it'll be a huge ask. Dave Noonan and Adam O'Donovan will have a huge job there. So for me, who breaks even in their own midfield could have a bearing on the game. Who will pick up Patrick Hogan, and on the other side, who will pick up Conor Lehan. They don't stick to any specific position, so will the Glen just decide to go man marking no matter where Conor goes? Or if he plays in half forward line, they might say, right, you pick him up, Robert Downey, and if he goes inside Mackey, he's your man. Or will they leave Mackey on him all day? Because in the past, particularly into County 11, Mackey's done a fantastic man marking job. So for me, it'll be all about the head-to-heads, and who will win those head-to-head contests. Just on momentum, and look, I'm not wearing a biased hat, I just think on momentum, I could see the Glen winning it. I genuinely could see him winning it. Their big players are playing well. Again, he scored heavily today, but Dean did chip in with 2, Simon did chip in with 2, and they won frees as well. And if that pressure is off Patrick, and again he got 1-5 I think from play today, but if other fellas are contributing, it's a huge bonus for the Glen camp. So I would think just slightly the Glen for victory.
I think it's fair to say that Luke Deneen, one of the underestimated players in Middleton, he had a very, very good game today on one of the Blackrock better players, Alan Connolly.
Yeah, I thought Luke was rock solid, to be fair. He knows.
And if Patrick Hogan goes inside the full forward line, but if he goes inside the full forward line, that's going to be some step up for Luke.
Massive step up, yeah. But as Shawnee alluded to, could you see the Sean O'Leary Hayes picking him up? Like, it's I think Luke Connolly is a lighter player, Patrick, and he's a younger player, so that might have suited Luke Dineen to a certain degree. But saying all that, there would be no better man than Luke Dineen that would love the challenge of marking Patrick Horgan. But this is about getting your correct players on the correct matchups, I suppose, in some respects. So it wouldn't surprise me if you'd find Luke Dineen probably marking Simon Kennefick, and Sean O'Leary, he is picking up Patrick Horgan. But for me, one of the critical things if you're in the Midland camp is that, if there's going to be good quality Paul going in front of Patrick Horgan, you need to be sending somebody possibly in front of him. And I thought today Sars would have erred slightly, that they left so much space in front of Patrick Horgan today. So, but look, that'll be a decision for Midland what they're going to do. Tommy O'Connell, to be fair, I'd have to say, if Downey was excellent for the Glen, I'd have to say that Tommy O'Connell, two contrasting styles. One fella's about 6'5", the other fella's about 5'10" or 11. But both of them had massive games for their clubs today. But you'd have to say that I think that the Glen half backline is probably stronger on paper, even though Cormac Welch is having a very, very good season for Middleton. But the Glen half backline, I think, will look slightly better there. Coming out to the middle of the field, and Adam O'Donovan, and just to mention Adam O'Donovan, David Doonan, I had them involved with development squads way back, and two real quality guys. They love their game of hurling, and it's great. Like, a lot of players, Patrick, we were involved with development squads, are no longer playing, but they are playing, and they've 2 county medals in their back pocket as well to the young fellas. So Adam was very, very solid, and David Noonan, you mentioned earlier on, he doesn't get probably as much praises, but he was brilliant against McKilly. Probably not as good today, Shawnee, but that's going to be some battle, because Sam Quirk for me is probably the common midfielder in Cork at this moment in time. I think he's a quality player, comes from a good stable as well. So for me, I think possibly Middleton might just sneak it there in the middle of the field, and then up front, I suppose, look, heavily dependent on Conor Lehane and Patrick Horgan, both teams. But I thought Luke Farrell and Cormac Buzang are showing real form, I would say, real consistency. Like Buzang chipped in, I think, with a goal in 4 today, got 4 points the last day as well. And I think against Sars he actually got 3 or 4 points on a day when Middleton weren't good on that occasion. And Luke Farrell, Johnny, you mentioned him earlier on, he was on everything that Middleton were involved in today. So to me, they have 3 forwards that you're kind of looking at to say, if they get enough ball, they possibly will score more. But you know what, Patrick, I'm not going to put my neck in the block tonight now and pick a winner on this one, because there's no winning and losing. Like, we'll wait for Paddy Powers to decide who are the favourites, right? And then we'll go for the other crowd. Because when you look at today's semi-finals, 2 hot favourites both turned over, and that just shows you the mentality involved. There's no doubt when you're favourites that people, the general public, say, you'll get over that when you get over that. And then when you're outsiders, that, Jesus, you have much of a chance and you'll need to play well. And it gives the opposition, it gives the outsider that steely resolve. So I'll be waiting to see who the outsider is, Patrick, and I'll probably go for the outsider then at that stage.
You always liked the underdog, didn't you? You always liked that role, didn't you?
I was on the underdog, no doubt, yeah.
An enjoyable afternoon, an enjoyable championship. But one more game to go. This championship, it's after really just taking fire in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's been...
I don't want to dwell on it, but just after taking off.
Yeah, and as a product, Mark mentioned the word product. We have a fantastic product, I suppose. Ultimately as well, you're trying to get Cork players out of a club Cork championship. So, I mean, Sam Quirk is a potential Cork player. Fellas like Shane Barrett, Padraig Power out in Blarney. I see last night that Shane O'Regan got a load of scores for Watergrass Hill. So, obviously biased today because my club were playing, but you're still looking to see who could step up and become a Cork player. So I think Owen Downey potentially down the line could be a Cork player. He was excellent again today. I think Sam Quirk, Mark is right. I think he had a great game. Other players that kind of Sean Pa White, maybe a slip past Pa bit. But Cormac Bazang is a player that could come into a Cork setup at some stage. Played really, really well today. And Jack O'Connor had a great season just gone with Cork. But to finish his season this year, he had a kind of a moderate one coming up in the preliminary games there, or in the league format games earlier in the season. He was still chipping in, but scored heavily today. So from a Cork perspective, it'll be interesting to see again now how fellas will stand up in the final and catapult themselves into a panel potentially.
But the big thing is, and you mentioned about the championship, right? It's a consistency of performance is actually what you're looking for. And the way the championship, the format of the championship gives you 3 matches at the start, and there'll be 50% of the teams will get forward for a 4th game. So you're giving the shop window to a player to step up to the plate, to get get if a player is good enough, he will get enough game time, I suppose is the point I'm making, and that's down to the format, that's down to Kevin O'Donovan and his team behind him there. That big decision that was made 2 years ago to change to a Champions League format, which the whole county was crying out for, for a long time, and it has now happened, and we're going to see the merits of it, Patrick, because with relegation and promotion, every team has got to get their house in order. And when you see the likes of Lisgool and Castlemartyr having won counties last year, and they're back in county finals this year, that they could have a double promotion, that's brilliant as well to see that, because it shows progress. And when you're struggling to get fellas to the field, if they can see progress, if they can see a chance of winning a championship, they will come down to the field and they will make the effort. So I think the championship all over, whatever grade you're in, and there's 5 grades at the moment, and I hope that they, I know the county board are talking about, doing away with the last grade, the lower intermediate, and making the intermediate grade itself, 16 teams. I'm against that, I'll have to say. I think we should be leaving it at 5-12s, promotion and relegation, and keep it simple.
Mike, gents, thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. Busy afternoon for you, but thank you very much for your contributions for the afternoon, and thanks to Colin for joining us earlier on as well. What an afternoon of hurling we had. Milton come out on top 422 to 319. SARS Glen with a victory over SARS, I should say, 117 to 18 points. Sets up for an intriguing, and you know what, it's going to be an interesting fortnight ahead of the Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship Final, sponsored by Co-op Superstores. 21st November, 3:30 throw in here in Park Queeve, and we're going to be looking forward to it over the next 2 weeks. Do catch up with the man beside me here, Mark Lanners. He'll be catching up with Dalo tomorrow, talking about the little All-Ireland. We'll be back in action tomorrow night on Dalo's podcast tomorrow, and we'll have reaction on the papers tomorrow on the irishexaminer.com/sport, and buy your paper early tomorrow morning. And the next 2 weeks are just going to be really, really enthralling. Thanks to all the team in the background, to Decky, to Johnny here on camera, and to Raf back at base, and to Stephen and Tony on the Examiner sports desk for the afternoon. What a day it has been in the Senior Hurling Championship. We've got one more day out to come in a fortnight. You wouldn't want to miss it. Our attention's turned to football next weekend as the Bonsecures Premier Senior Football Championship in football comes to a conclusion. We'll be bringing you details on that during the week on the irishexaminer.com. But from all of us here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, thanks very much for joining us. We'll talk to you all again very soon.